Cam's taking the intro this time.
3, 2, 1, and we're live. Welcome to the CadCast. I'm Cameron. You may know me from the first 3 episodes. Hope you know me from the first 3 episodes.
No one knows you.
We got William, who usually does the intro. We got Josh. You may know him from the healthcare episode that, as of now, I still haven't edited. We got Lee, also known as codename Codeine, who did the first 2 with us.
We think it's his name.
And then we got Wesley.
I've got a special guest. I don't know why I'm here. They kidnapped me. Please help.
Well,
please send help.
I guess that's all Wesley's got to say for now. He does conspiracies and stuff on his YouTube. I'll link it down below.
Yeah, hey guys, if you wanna, I'm gonna plug myself. If you wanna check out my shit, you go to YouTube, type in Man of Toast, or you go to Wattpad and look up W.C. Hotchkiss and read my shit.
I just said I'll link it below. But besides that,
Don't care. Don't give a shit.
I need to do my plug.
I'm plugging myself.
And with that, William wants to get into our. We'll kick things off. William, why don't you lead it in?
So the rest of these guys have no clue what Russiagate is, and I'm the only one who knows
Back
it.
it up.
Fucking communist.
Well, no, I'm pretty sure.
Starts off a podcast with like all these guys are idiots. Listen to me.
Well, it's because I'm the all-knowing one. Anyway,
all-knowing one. I'm the podcast boy.
Yeah. No, Russiagate. Pretty well, what Russiagate is the Mueller report came out, said Trump's innocent, then people are still saying, nope, Russia they still colluded with Russia, and collusion still happened.
Which is so funny because Hillary Clinton absolutely is on record with having way more Russia collusion than Trump ever did.
Devil's advocate, because personally, I don't believe Trump has any reason to properly collude. But to be fair, the Mueller report only had a summary of one section that said Trump was innocent. So it wasn't the full shebang.
I think it was a quote that said Trump was innocent.
That's what I mean. I don't fully buy.
Well,
I don't think it was it wasn't a thorough release. That being said, though, I personally don't think Trump colluded.
But I think they invested so much money into this report already, and they found absolutely nothing after 3 years. So they're like, let's just stop now.
What's the problem is that why are you going after like a guy in office who's doing his job and apparently doing it okay, and why is there like the whole media is against him, right? Because of the Mueller report. Is that correct?
It's not the media, the people controlling the media.
Well, yeah, I think Fox News is separate from it, but the ones that I know are dogging them pretty hard are CNN, Washington Post.
MSNBC.
And NBC, all those. But it's like, you got 2 stations that are like, alright, he's okay. And then you got the other guys that are like, oh, fucking burn him, he's the next Antichrist. It's like, chill out. Let's relax a little bit.
Oh, I should mention today we're doing conspiracy theories. I don't think we mentioned that actually.
Oh, it's too late now.
Well, I mean, I don't know. This one...
You put in the description, you put in the title.
I was going to say, full disclaimer, that's what the idea is.
That's the plan.
This one's going to be a more free-flowing one, guys. We're going to see how it goes.
I think
anyway, this is a good ground if we're going to start with conspiracy theories about everyone hating Trump. We could talk about who owns the Washington Post.
Who's that?
Bezos, the owner of Amazon.
And a lot else.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah,
that's good information.
He bought it in the past few years.
Oh, yeah.
So it's not as if it's all-time.
And the thing is, like, Trump has been extremely critical of Bezos and his working conditions, how little he's paying his workers.
Like for a while now, right?
So now we're kind of seeing like great examples of just extremely wealthy, powerful people. Like I think it's something like 64% of Americans like buy products with Amazon, taking over the news to promote whoever they want to lead the country. So.
Yeah,
I think that's a big problem. Do we have to regulate who's allowed to have a media outlet?
There's a double standard for sure that needs to be watched.
I mean, I think he's running himself, Bezos. He's running as an independent.
I don't know.
Here's the problem is, I think it's just all bureaucracy, right? I mean, these guys have so much money that they corrupt every politician. And then everyone will point to government and say, why aren't you guys regulating these people? When in reality, it's government.
This guy believes in Pizzagate.
It's government that's caused the problem.
Well, okay, I was just, beforehand, we were talking a little bit about the concept of compartmentalized information. Does anyone know about that? No? Okay.
No, I'm really ignorance.
I think I know what you're talking about, but I'm not exactly
I'll
sure
go
it's the
through
same
it
thing.
and see how it goes. So basically, like, as an example, let's say my parents gave me a bunch of money for my birthday, but like, listen, you can't spend this. we're gonna put it in a bank, and you can never touch it ever. And I'm like, cool. Well, fuck you. I want my money. So I'm gonna go in there and steal it. But if I steal it, my parents will know it's me. So I don't want that to happen. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get 3 people, and I'm gonna rob one bank. Someone else is gonna rob another, and they're gonna rob a third. And then if all 3 banks are hit, it looks like if they're all hit at once, it was obviously an organized job, not just for one bank in one account. So that's my plan. The 2 other people involved don't know. And they're going to do their jobs assuming that this is the whole thing, even though there's more to it. Now, what I'm going to ask them to do again is I'm going to get each of these guys to set up a team, and this team is only going to know that they're doing the one bank and that there's just one bank job. Because that way, if we get caught, then there's plausible deniability. They don't even know what's going on. So if everyone only has a certain percentage of the story, they're more willing to do what you want, especially if you pay them, right? So when I say compartmentalized information, I'm thinking like there's a lot of shit that a lot of people don't know, but only because it's being compartmentalized.
2 things. I thought it was going to be something to do with the brain.
No.
And how we store data. No, that was completely a different thing. And 2, it sounds like you're talking about what's it called? Something triangle.
A something triangle.
Yeah, well, I had a pyramid.
It's a pyramid. It's exactly
pyramid
what it is.
scheme. That's it.
It is a pyramid scheme. The only thing I don't. Yeah,
it's
I
nothing
don't
like it.
I don't like to roll it under that because then there's like a clear, like you're at the bottom, you're at the top, and it all funnels upward.
It just sounds like an idea from one guy.
It's like it's a great way to get jobs accomplished with tons of people, but without them knowing.
So I gotta ask though. I mean, you gave a whole description of the concept.
Yeah.
But what does this tie into? What is
so I'll put it this way. So let's say Bezos wants to run for president, right?
Yeah.
So in his mind, he's probably doing that for him. He wants to get his own means, maybe he wants some money, that's fine. The people who are going to let him do that are going to say, hey man, we want you for the job, and you're going to get some money and some power, and that's that, and you work for us, but that's all you need to know about that. Cool. He doesn't know that he's a pawn in a larger scheme.
Got it.
So like, if I think of the word like a deep state, I'm thinking it's like... So the common information that I run into usually is the 3 powerhouses are the Vatican, the U.S., and then the Parliament state of the British hierarchy.
The UK?
Yeah, the UK. And so there's a lot of people that work for these organizations, right? But not everyone knows it. So like a teacher doesn't know they're brainwashing you because they just haven't been given that information, but they'll do it because they think it's the right thing to do. They think they're helping you and helping you learn. It's like, no, you're fucking us, actually. But I understand. Thank you.
You mentioned deep state earlier.
Yeah.
If anyone wants to explain what that is.
Yeah, well...
I think Wesley's the man for that.
Well, there's a deep state theory, I guess. I don't really think of it so much as a theory. I feel like if something like that were to happen, or if it's possible, it has happened.
I mean, even if you could explain it, for someone who doesn't know.
Sure. So basically, let's take the U.S. We think that there's all these different power structures that allow people to get elected into certain positions, but as the deep state theory, I guess, goes, is that you have one group of people who basically run the country, and other countries like their own state. They do what they need to do, and all of the show of parliament and freedom and whatnot is just to keep you in the system.
Like an international mafia.
Exactly. International mafia.
I gotta ask though.
What's that? Well, kind of like the UK.
I think there's
about
a
it.
lot.
Or not the UK, the UN. Pardon me.
No, I gotta ask about one thing you said. Man, I'm like cutting everyone off, but I gotta ask. 'Cause I gotta get this out.
Yeah. Vatican.
How does the Vatican tie into one of the big 3 big 3 powerhouses? You don't.
Yeah.
I don't know about you guys. Maybe I'm the exclusion, but I don't think of the Vatican as a powerful deep state. I think of the Vatican as a symbol.
Well, it depends on. Sorry.
I think the Vatican definitely. The roots of the Vatican, and a little history lesson. The roots of the Vatican was funded on war. It was funded, like, the Roman Catholic Church rose to power because it didn't like other Christian denominations of the Christian faith, wiped out all the other, or tried to wipe out all the other denominations of the Christian faith, then started charging people to have their sins taken away from them.
Here's the thing. I understand how historically the Vatican is powerful, and the vaults, shit like that. But today, I don't see how they relate to the modern technological.
As I'll get into that, wherever you've seen colonization, wherever you've seen war, wherever, like for example, when Europeans came to Canada, the Vatican was the one who made sure all the First Nations were in their special schools, and the First Nations were getting their hairs cut and reciting the prayers. I'm personally. No, I personally am religious, and I'm very against what the Vatican did to all the First Nations. And it's completely documented. It wasn't the government who came into the United States. The government worked very well with the First Nations. Very well documented. They did a lot of trades together. It was when the Vatican came in and started forcing First Nation kids to become Catholic. Like wherever British colonies have went, the Roman Catholic Church has been with them, destroying communities.
Here's the only problem I find with that. It was actually mostly the Protestant Church, the Anglican Church of England, that influenced and had those residency schools. What are they called?
Yeah, the
residential schools. Residential
Where
schools.
did the Protestant Church come from?
It's based in England, and it's a rejection of the Catholic.
Do you know why it's a rejection of? It's only a rejection. The Protestant Church was only created because of one rule that was different. It was about remarriage, and it was for a king because he wanted to marry another person.
King Louis the 13th.
I forget the actual king, but it's essentially the same people running the show there.
That's the only problem with that is that's when it was embraced in England. There's many different Protestant churches all over Europe, and that's only the Anglican English one. While it's only broken away from the church because of Martin Luther. I think most people know the story of Martin Luther. Wrote the 100 Things, or whatever it was, about how there's so many problems with the church, and then all these Protestants broke away.
But isn't the idea of the Protestant church to be separate, right? To be against organization?
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to be against organization by making an organization.
I was just thinking that, yeah.
You know?
Well, that's the point though, because they all broke away.
Well,
wasn't that the idea?
Well, we can even go back to what Wesley was saying about how it's like how it's like just a bunch of different components to one big plot. You know, they talk about how the Protestant church is completely separate from the Catholic Church, but the whole founding of the Protestant church was on one basic rule, and they still have several ties together. And their ideology to don't go to different countries and to get all the native people and convert them.
To fix them, right?
To fix them, to cleanse them, is still something that they're pushing. And I think when he was talking about the Vatican, maybe he was just talking about how the Roman Catholic Church, Protestant Church, how they're pushing their ideologies onto people, and how that they are powerful. They control most religious people in the world.
Well, it's part of it, but here's the thing: is I've found in my experience, there's generally two options. Option A is that all the conspiracy shit is fake, and the world is just as it seems, and cool. We're just living life, and we have our limitations, and that's it. Option B is there is no limitation. Infinity does exist, and all the craziest shit you can think of is all real.
Whoa.
And it's hard to. I think for most people, it's hard to see either one or the other because it's it can't be. It makes no sense that it would be either all or nothing, right?
I don't think it's as black and white as that.
Yeah, and just the reason why I'm saying this, I'm bringing this up, is because if you are going to study crazy shit, you have to come at it not from the everything's normal and everything works out and there's limitations and that's it sort of mindset, because it'll never work out that way. Human beings are not meant to think about things in that way, so that's why it'll never work. If you think of it like, oh, there is limitlessness and there is everything that exists, then there's always, it's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of how.
Wow.
And so when I talk about the Vatican and the US and all these sort of things, to control the entire planet, for the most part, its people, you have to control their belief systems, the Vatican. You have to control their safety, the U.S., the Army. And you have to control their politics. What is it? The UK.
Yeah,
and those
United
are the three
Nations,
things.
United Nations.
Yeah,
you control
the United Nations. Exactly.
United Nations was meant to suppress any kind of. It was meant to suppress any kind of like. I guess you could say if a dictator rose to power again, like it was created to prevent another Hitler, but we're kind of seeing it just suppressing any kind of individuality.
It's become the dictator.
And exactly.
It's just like if you want to defy us, we're just gonna get every single country in the United Kingdom, every country in North Korea, or
to fuck you up.
Sorry, North America, and we're gonna screw you up because you can't mess with us. We're the peacekeepers.
You know what's a worse example of this? The European Union.
Yeah.
Way worse example of it. The UN tries to regulate, clearly pushes an agenda. I mean, like the anti-Jewish agenda it pushes, for example. It's ridiculous. It's so obvious.
Or at least allows because of all those not Saudi Arabian,
Seriously.
like all those Arabian countries that it allows to espouse that anti-Israel and anti-Jewish propaganda. And Israel itself has some faults. I'll admit that.
I'm not trying to push an agenda here.
I do see those recordings of UN meetings.
It's disgusting.
That are absolutely terrible. And when the Jewish representative, or not the Jewish representative, the Israeli representative says, this is a problem, why do you keep letting them say this? Everyone's like,
silence.
You're the problem, actually, for calling them out.
It's either silence or that. Like, here's the thing, though. So, like I said, I'm not trying to like pick one side or the other on this thing because, like you said, Israel's definitely on a perfect state. I mean, that goes for most Middle East countries, right?
Every single, almost.
Yeah, like the thing is though, is that like like any person of any political belief can look at these countries that are saying bad things about Israel and think, how the fuck can they say that with a straight face?
Because
when they're like killing, when they're like stoning homosexuals to death and shit.
I will definitely have pick a side when it comes to the Israel battle because Israel has,
I'm just saying, like,
almost half a dozen times now has sent requests for peace with Palestine, and every single time been denied. Hamas is a literal terrorist organization that was given power and
elected.
Yeah, it democratically elected a terrorist organization who has in their charter, in their like what they wanted to accomplish was the complete and utter just dismemberment of every single Jewish person. So they're just pushing this anti-Semitic like just wave of wanting to kill every single Jewish person. They're teaching in schools to kill Jewish people. And if you go to Israel, where they actually accept Palestinians are members of parliament there. Palestinians are also paid like 19 times more in Israel than they're paid in Palestine.
Yeah.
So you're seeing like a country who was founded on like just trying to find a place to put Holocaust survivors. Decide to put them back in their home country, and you're comparing that to a place that is just run by literal terrorists, like actual terrorists. Hamas is a terrorist group.
No, it is.
That wants nothing but to see Israel die. They want to see children die. They want to see Jewish children die because they're Jewish. Whereas Israel's like, we know we have a lot of problems here. We probably owe you a lot of reparations for taking a lot of this land, but we don't want to see people die.
Dude, I mean,
which is valid.
I mean, maybe this isn't the right thing to say, but like, definitely, like, you personally can definitely relate to that whole thing. And that's a really good point, man. That was a good spiel there. I mean, it's totally true. The international community just forgets what the issue really is, because you are right. It's really not about right or left or whatever politician says, whatever about what nation. It truly is like a terrorist group versus a nation that has established itself legitimately.
And the only reason it had to establish itself is because of a Holocaust.
Yeah, just to clarify myself earlier, that is I am pro-Israel, but I just wanted to, like, for any other viewers, like, I just wanted to give it, like, even if you look at it from a totally neutral perspective, it's fucked how we treat Israel. That's all I want to say.
Well, you are the host, so you kind of do have to stay impartial.
No, I'm not. I got my own opinion, but I just wanted to give a good, you know what I mean, like a good outlook there. Anyways, forget that. I just had to get that out.
Cam and I are just as impartial as Ruben is.
We're not.
Ruben is not impartial. That's one thing.
We're not NPCs. Ruben's a little.
I'm just saying impartial. Not in our political lean, but only in our how much will espouse their opinion.
No, fuck that, dude. I was just giving a little outlook, man. Yeah, you're getting me wrong here. I'm not being neutral the whole time. That's no fun.
Ruben isn't neutral. That's what I'm saying.
No, Ruben does a really good job. There's a couple interviewers like that.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if you've seen, there's a few opinionated people that can do such a good job at, like, interviewing people and providing a neutral stance, even though you know that they're so biased.
Here's a question relating back to that, Israel. Have you guys heard of the missile attack that just happened not even a week ago?
Oh, enlighten us, please.
Most of the missiles were taken down by the Iron Dome.
The Iron Curtain or whatever?
The Iron Curtain, the Iron Dome, whatever it's called. But it's still messed up. And what sucks about it, when they're attacked by the Gaza Strip, like people in the Gaza Strip area, with mortars, missiles, anything, and then they retaliate, not aiming towards civilians, but aiming towards terrorist hideouts, they're yelled at by the international community. A good example of this is when they hit a school a little while back that wasn't actually a school. It was a terrorist, what's it called?
Camp Hideout?
A training ground?
Operation Center, HQ. It was a terrorist HQ.
Gotcha.
Sure.
And they got yelled at for destroying a school that was being used. It was just the outside of a school. Yeah. The inside was all terrorist HQ.
Well, it's really interesting that you say that, because I don't know if you guys have seen this photo. It's a semi-famous photo of like this humanitarian effort, I guess, and it's like, we're gonna save all these people in Africa or something, or some African a country or whatever, and they have this photo of a guy, and he's like, yes, thanks for the water. He has this. I'm showing with my hands a little bit, but he has this ball of water. He's like, great, awesome. He's drinking it. Everything's fine. It's like, yay, they're helping him. Zoom out of the photo a little bit, and you'll see there's a guy with a rifle pointed at this guy's face, and the dude feeding him water is drowning him in the stuff. It's like, it's so easy to put a frame around something and make it look like villainous or like it's nothing at all.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you please pull this up? I just want to just can have I get a view of it. Do you know what to look up for it, or? Or I could smash.
We only need.
What was I?
Do you?
I'm just curious, man. I just want to see what it looks like.
About
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
Oh god, I just lost my train of thought.
The picture that you're talking about.
Oh yeah. True.
Yeah. The one other thing I'll say is a huge critique that the left, I'm gonna say, not even all of the left. I'm just gonna say the far left, the very far left, is they always say, why are we even protecting Israel? Why are we funding Israel? And
well, that's just it.
I think they forget that we're funding Israel on the basis that they are our ally. You protect your allies.
Like any other country.
And they are the only Middle Eastern country that doesn't burn our flags, essentially, almost.
That's what I mean, yeah. They're a valuable... Just like any country we help fund for fuck's sake. Right?
Yeah. You know how much money we send to Mexico? Which I'm kind of okay with in some levels, because I think the only way to stop illegal immigration is to make other countries not so shitty. But we're not going to get into that. But I'm saying,
yeah, we will.
they're talking... They're like the far left talks like so much about how we have to just let Israel fend for themselves, but the whole reason Israel is a country is because we didn't let them fend for themselves. We saw a problem. We try to help them.
It's funny you should say that, because you know how there's in the U.S. there's so much push against the wall, right? It's like, it's patriotism is racism or whatever. That was the Marcon statement that started the Yellow Vest protests in Paris.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because we're so against they're so against building up a wall, and yet we will give so much money to Israel to build their own wall. It's like, why is there funding for another country when you're not going to fund yourselves?
Well, they object to both, is the thing. The Democrats.
Yeah. Well, the Democrats,
the point, right?
The Democrats weren't against the wall before. They were only against the wall as soon as Trump took office, and I think the reason they're against the wall is because
it's Trump.
It's not the wall isn't the perfect solution. So it's not like they can't say, it's not like people are really going to get mad if it doesn't get built. And it's Trump, because we see that the deep state is extremely against Trump because he's because he wants less government. He wants less government control.
State. Yeah. That's the whole point, right? He's against people like the Koch brothers, Bezos.
And we see that he is the only president in the last couple generations to actually lose net worth. We see people who don't have companies. Presidents who didn't have their own companies bring millions of dollars in net worth. How does that happen? How do you get millions of dollars without a company if you're not making millions of dollars at your job? It's called Jeff Bezos or the Koch brothers or whoever.
Or Clinton Foundation.
Yeah, Clinton Foundation. They're lining your pockets because the more government regulations, the more the government has control over literally everything, the more the rich people could control everything. The more the rich people could change how much is being taxed.
So I just pulled up on the computer really quick. There's a couple examples you can find of how certain news agencies or journalists will be like, wow, there's so much bad shit happening in this country, or there's so much good shit happening in this country, but you only see the photos they give you, and you feel the way you do about them because they edit them in such a way or crop them, so it doesn't look as harmful or more harmful depending on what the objective is.
Yeah.
And that gets used so often, right? Like, for example, let's say... Actually, the same principle applies to a lot of Trump coverage. So he gave a speech about how he was in North Korea and he was talking to Kim Jong-un.
He wasn't in North Korea, he was in Singapore.
There we go, sure.
Or Russia or something.
Sure.
I think it was Singapore, you're right.
Yeah, one of those places. He's there and he's talking to him, and the point was, hey, I've gotten to the guy, we're talking, things are not totally shitty, there is a way out. And everyone's like, yeah, great. But then on CNN and on
MSNBC,
that, or even just late night shows. The late night shows are just as much a problem as this as ever, right? Saturday Night Live, Saturday Night Live had a thing where it's like Trump's speech and our impression, and this is also backed up by Washington Post, basically it just has Trump or Alec, what's his name from doing his Trump thing, but he's emphasizing the racist stuff. He's doing all that. It's like, that's great, and Trump can be more tactful with his words, but the point of his speech, and I watched the whole speech. I watched both things. The whole point was, hey, we're probably not going to get nuked by these guys. Mm-hmm. It seems like it because we hear about it all the time from the media, but we're not. We're doing okay.
Sorry, I gotta get this out.
Yeah, please.
Devil's advocate.
Devil's advocate
is that comedy is meant to twist and exaggerate things.
It is.
It's not meant to lie, though.
To give another fair point, Saturday Night Live is ridiculously biased and just it hurts to watch.
Most of the time, it's not even funny.
I don't like watching my comedy that's insanely political to the point where it hurts, and I'm just like...
Well, I'll put it this way, this is my own preference, but I'm not going to go and watch a comedy thing about someone who's just going to talk nonstop about homosexual comedy. It's like, cool... That's not the stuff that I will usually laugh at. And you do whatever you want, that's fine. You do all of your stuff, that's cool. I'm not going to laugh at that stuff, it's not my thing. But if you're going to use it to push that's should be the thing, then that's comedy being used as a weapon instead of a tool. Because all these things, like hope, comedy, passion, all these things can be used as both weapons and tools. And these people, these fucks, count on that. The only reason there's so many wars and so much conflict is because they've turned people against each other. There was a huge thing a while ago about the caravans coming up to coming up from Mexico to invade the U.S. And there was a lot of oh, that's nothing, it doesn't matter, or it does matter, we need to really pay attention. And it's like the media threw that. And I think such a light where it's like, you don't need to worry about this stuff at all. When you actually saw the footage of these soldiers that were gathering up at the border and seeing what they're dealing with is not what the pictures are of women and kids going, oh, we're starving, we need water. It's like there's one of those families and the rest are all my age males who have anger in them and want to fucking kill some shit.
Something interesting regarding that is you can have the same image and two people interpret the same image very, very differently.
Yeah.
A good example, I don't know the exact image or what it's called or how to search it up even.
Yeah.
But it's a woman and her two children. Some tear gas was thrown. This is at the wall, at the border.
Yeah.
And this is to protect the border because there's tons of other people trying to climb over the wall and get into the border. And they're trying to use non-lethal force to do this.
They're trying.
and people are bringing their children and using them as human shields.
Yeah, these shitty people using kids as human shields. No, help them.
No,
This is. I'll get to what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, sorry.
But they're using them as human shields to bring them and not get attacked by these soldiers, and hoping that they won't get attacked. Though the other perspective of that is, look at these people trying to bring their children and save their children from a terrible fate.
Yeah.
Or poverty or whatever they're trying to save them from. And these terrible, terrible border guards are attacking and hurting and not bullying, but assaulting these children. Yeah, torturing children.
Yeah.
But that tends to be a theme with a lot of these conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
Just getting back to that, is we see a lot of different perspectives. Like, we see after, like, the World Trade Center went down, a lot of people said that it was an inside job so we could go to the Middle East for oil. That's what a lot of people say. And then a lot of people also say, like, no, we're trying to defend ourselves. And they have good arguments, too, you know? Because, like, we still spend a lot of money on oil. We're not taking... Like, if you want to control oil in another country, you don't go to that country, start a war, and leave like they're leaving right now. That's not how you maintain...
No, I think the point...
They're leaving now, but power's changed.
Yeah. The thing to get at here, though, is that people want to twist tragedy and twist other things
Use it to
their agenda. I mean... The objective truth is hard to get these days, right? I mean, the news, like, Trump's a really good example, because for me, at least, I mean, I think it's impossible to find news that is either, it's impossible to not find news that's either, like all those garbage networks that are just totally against him. You can tell it stinks bias.
Fuck yeah.
But then you go to Fox and stuff, and I mean...
And they're terribly biased in front for him.
It's the same deal. It's hard. It's really hard. Trump's a perfect example. Yeah. It's really hard to get a totally objective standpoint on what he said.
And I think it's a great
ridiculous
thing that you brought up there, because that comes down to, like, how do you get out of the situation? And I feel like, well, I think you do. I think you have to.
You can't anymore.
Well, if you say that, then perhaps that's what your fate is. But I feel like your belief in how you can trump this, pardon the pun, there you go, is how much you know that it can happen. So, like, an example is there's so many people who look to other people for their answers. So, like, there's a lot of news or journalist sites coming up, and it's like, listen, we're going to tell you why our site's the place to get news. It's not fake news because we reported it. It's like, all right, I'm weary about you now because you're telling me that I need to trust you, but you're giving me no reasons why except for this is fake news according to me. It's like, all right. So what I try to do is when I look at these situations is I try to say, all right, is this a message that is meant to make me afraid? Or is it a message that's meant to empower me? And if you just look at those two base things, I feel like maybe you can get a sense of who's trying to fuck with you and who's not.
I just want to, before you let him go, William, the moderator, I want to just point out that I meant, like, I didn't mean for myself or, like, for any individual. I just meant, like, in general.
Yeah,
I don't think that society can be saved from that tyranny of perspective, so to speak. Individuals and all that can obviously seek for it, but I was talking the average person, not myself, right?
Well, that's why we're here. Well, at least that's why I'm so vocal with the information, is because, like,
of course, I seek it out.
Once I found out, I was like, I need to change my fucking life. I have to. And if you don't know the information, you don't feel the need to change your life.
I think when we're talking about the news, it's extremely important to realize that it's a business. And I think I think CNN knows they're bullshitting, and I think Fox News knows they're bullshitting too, because when you get such, like, polar opposites in the world, you end up getting a lot of conflict, and especially conflict online. And then when you get conflict online, you get people arguing, which means you get more views. And when you get more views, you get more money. Mm-hmm. So Jeff Bezos is a smart person. He pushes a bunch of stuff about how much he hates Trump. Fox fights back and says, yeah, we're going to double down, Trump's the best. They're both wrong. Trump's an idiot. Have you seen some of the shit he's been tweeting? Do you want that to represent your country? I'll say it. He's an idiot.
Oh, yeah.
He's
I'll say it.
He doesn't know what he's doing half the time, and like when he was mocking that reporter with disability, it's like, is that really who you want to run your country?
Yeah.
And Fox knows that a lot of people in the United States want him, though.
Or the dead senator.
He's a real man. Locker room talk.
Yeah,
Well, he's doing it,
talk.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you
done.
get two. This goes back to the conspiracies. You get two polarized groups of people who are yelling at each other online, getting you more views, getting you more attention. At the end of the day, it's all about money.
Yeah.
You know, because more money equals more control. So then that's the whole reason. The media, all news organizations right now are just fear mongering.
Yeah.
All they want to do is fear monger for the purpose of getting more attention.
Being paid to do it.
Yeah, because there is not a central news station. You wanna know why there's not a central news station? You make no money.
That's a fucking good point, man.
You know what's also
No one's gonna argue about your points. Everyone's gonna be like, yeah, you're right. Trump's an idiot, and but he has good policies. No one's gonna watch that. No one's gonna argue about it.
Absurdity sells. I mean, like, that's the point there that you got it. That's a really fucking good way of putting it, Josh. That, like,
It is.
the extreme sells. I mean, why would you give an objective truth when you could give an exaggerated one that looks great on the front page?
Yeah.
That someone else is gonna comment on, and then you go on YouTube and you got people like Ben Shapiro, Steven Crowder.
Yeah.
They're just echoing this.
Exactly.
Now they take like a news article or they take the Green Deal. Okay, everyone knows the Green Deal is stupid,
Fucking insane.
and then they talk about it, and
There's
they talk
only
about
one
how
balance
stupid it
stance
is,
in the Green Deal. Let's be real here.
and they talk how stupid it is.
Come on.
And then you get left wings who talk, and then you got left wings who talk about how stupid Steven Crowder is for not thinking climate change is real. So then you got the people who are running the big news organizations making money, and then you got all these people on YouTube piggybacking off of this making money, and then you got people like us who are also piggybacking off the idea of like two polar sides, and we're just like talking about it, and we're like, shit, this is just a big scam. You know, no one actually believes this bullshit. They're just making money off of it.
If anything, her stupid ideas just got way more attention than they would have because of these people countering it. Anyways, William really wants to say something. So yes, William, you can talk. I'm allowing you to talk.
All I was gonna say is, I think probably a good way to cut through that bias, and something I actively try to do, is anytime I watch a right-wing source, I like to counter it the other direction.
Very smart.
With a left-wing source, unless I'm laughing at it hysterically.
Well,
if it's a right or left-wing source, in which case I don't really bother because I'm laughing hysterically. Something I like to do, for example, if I ever watch, and I don't usually watch Alex Jones for anything, except to laugh my ass off.
Interdimensional space vampires.
I do enjoy that, and then I go ahead and I take the other extreme, and I go and watch an episode of The Young Turks.
Well, that's good, because that means you're cross-referencing.
And both of them, it's hysterical. And then the only, actually, from those two is a bad example, but I can't really gain any good information off of them.
Yeah.
But if I maybe go and look at a moderate sort of standpoint, a good moderate right-winger, I guess Matt Christensen is a good... you guys know who that is?
Who the fuck?
No.
Oh, Matt Christensen is great. He's just
Christensen.
just comments on things. And then I go and watch another perspective, and I watch Tim Pool or TimCast, that he has 2 accounts, and I watch his perspective on whatever the thing is. And he's a left winger. He's generally
moderate though, right?
Yeah. He's very, very
That's what I
centrist.
mean, he's
But
moderate.
he does know, and he does admit fully that he leans ever so slightly left wing. And Matt Christensen's the same way. He's very centrist. He just ever so slightly leans right.
Classical liberals are really just not that. Like, reasonable liberals, like, the classical liberals, like, I assume Tim would consider himself that. I find them to be the most rational of the leftist ideologies. I completely understand where they're getting at.
Anyway, what I find when it comes to perspective, it's a little good to be a little ignorant about the world outside of your view and to really look at what you see. Because as I was saying about the media fear mongering, you look at something like Black Lives Matter, right? And their whole premise is that white people hate black people need to fight back.
Yeah.
But when I live my everyday life and I go to school, I see black people, I see white people, all kind of doing the same thing, just
you don't
living
give
their
a
life.
fuck about it.
No one cares in reality.
Maybe it's because I come from a small town, but I'm Jewish, and I know black people, I know white people, and there's never been a race conflict. There's never been this kind of thing.
Any sort of minority conflict.
Yeah, I've never seen that.
Unless it's instigated.
Yeah, even in Toronto,
dude,
I lived in Toronto for a long time, and I'm on the subway, and there's a Muslim sitting beside a Jewish person, sitting beside a Catholic.
Yeah, they're just good people. They don't give a fuck about differences.
No one makes anything of it. Like in reality, but no one hates people for no reason.
Yeah,
well, mostly, right?
But like no one
actually
actually takes a step back and looks at how much money Black Lives Matter is made off of T-shirts.
I consider them a terrorist group.
How much money a lot of these leaders of Black Lives Matter who really don't give a shit about people are making money and making press off of it. And we see all these riots. But I think we have to, before we start trying to change a country on the basis that a country has problems, we have to start looking at our own communities. And if we have to just start acting as role models as our own communities. So if in my own community I don't see any racism and I don't see oppression of people and I don't see crazy amounts of rapes happening, I think I have a really good community. I think if we all just work for a better community and we started ignoring all these big, like we had even the Charlottetown protests, all these people. Yeah, if we stopped ignoring, let's be honest, no black guy hates white people. That doesn't happen.
Well, that's not true.
No, it's working. It's working. All you guys think black people hate.
No. I'm just saying.
The point here that we were all, I think, agreeing on is that in reality, people are way less polarizing. But also in reality, there are people who are polarized and who hate people for no reason.
But there's so little of them.
No, I'm not saying that.
Yeah, there's
rewind.
I think you're
no, that makes sense.
It's rewind time. So no, what you said, Josh, is that you said there's no black person that hates white people. I think that's what everyone objected to there.
Well, okay, but I also
think there's some white people who hate black people. I think there's some black people who hate white people. I think there's some of every group that hated another group. I
also said to take an ignorant stance to your own community. When I go into my community, I have a lot of German friends.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm Jewish. There's no conflict. So I'm going to live my entire life thinking that Germans aren't Nazis. So I'm also white. So when I'm around a bunch of black people, just because some idiot in the news is saying that black people hate white people, I'm going to assume that no black person hates white people, because in reality, I don't think I'm ever going to find a black person that is actually,
the average the average person, not no person. I think that's what
but I think it's just to have that healthy mindset.
Well, I don't know about being. I
agree.
I get
there's always extremes.
No, I think I like what you're touching on. I just personally I get a little weird when we say being ignorant to something, because it's like, fuck. All right. So I forgot what I was saying. Oh yeah. So let's pretend our community was like prejudiced, like super prejudiced. I feel like if we were to use the same approach, we would be ignoring the good people, right? Mm-hmm. And that's an opposite example, but I feel the effect still applies. If we just pretend they're not there, they can get more accomplished.
Name a community that's prejudiced.
I mean, I think all communities have a degree of prejudice, so I'm not going to be like, oh, it's this one.
Well, no, this
is what I'm saying. We're all saying there's extreme examples, but no one can name one.
I can name one.
Which one?
The governmental, not family, but the government of...
We're talking about United States and Canada.
Oh, United States, okay.
If we go to South Africa, I'm sure we'll find lots of prejudice. I'm talking about in our community.
Okay,
Black Lives Matter doesn't care about Africans, if you can't tell. It's all about the police shootings.
Yeah.
And I'm saying right now, I'm going to assume that no black people hate white people, and there's no prejudice, and no one can name a neighborhood, or no one can name a community that's super prejudiced, because it doesn't exist in Canada.
I don't think you need to name a specific one, though. I feel like just acknowledging that there is good and I hate using those words, good and bad in all.
It's so little. It's so little. It doesn't matter.
There is very little.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, though. It's so little it doesn't matter, right? The deep state is tiny. It's run by like maybe 1,500 people out of 8 billion. Okay, so there's a tiny little amount.
Okay,
but no one knows about them. It's ignored, and so they can do all this shit.
What does the deep state have to do?
Because that's the all this stuff happens.
Okay, the deep state
I
has
don't know,
the
dude. I don't.
Compartmentalized information. Pardon me.
The deep state has proven ability to ruin a human's reputation and to take millions of dollars away from people that they don't like.
Of course.
That one Ku Klux member who's being an asshole in his front yard doesn't have power to do anything. So that's the difference.
He's a pawn, correct? He's a total pawn. Sorry, did you wanna?
No, I see. I don't.
The reason why
I don't think everything has to be connected to a deep state.
Well, that's why I bring up compartmentalized information, because not everyone knows they're a part of it. Some people are just like, I'm going to make some money today.
Fuck.
Wait, here's...
I understand where Wes is totally coming from now.
Now you get it. As soon as he said it, I was just like, yeah, Jeff Bezos doesn't even realize that he's like propagating all of this. He's making the banks more powerful.
Here's the only problem.
I got you.
Here's the only problem I find.
What's your problem?
There's the problem of proving there is. You're all assuming that there absolutely is a deep state.
Yeah.
We have to now.
Okay.
Well, here's
the
proof lies in the pudding, and we're eating the pudding.
Hold on a second. Hold on.
I think it's obvious.
We have to. You have to then assume that there is a deep state, and there absolutely
anything that can happen will happen. Murphy's law.
That doesn't necessarily apply in this situation.
Completely.
And his law is not absolute.
Does anyone here, just for show of hands, does anyone here not believe in a deep state or deep state?
I'm very skeptical.
It's good to be skeptic. Okay, then how did Trump lose all that net worth?
Well, I don't know if that. I'm not agreeing.
Okay,
well, I believe
I believe he's given away a few of his businesses to his children, for one. So, but
I'm saying the second he became president, the second he was the deep state has always the whole idea of the deep state is a small group of people that want to control everything, and it's obvious that anyone who wants to deregulate everything, anyone who wants to get rid of the government's control, would be an enemy of the deep state. So any kind of Republican or any kind of conservative.
There's general proof, like surrounding proof. But there's no absolute proof. Like, you can't say,
you're right.
Look right here.
You're
this
right.
is a deep state,
and that's the weapon.
And that's where. But then you can use a lot of people. I'll conflate this to something else. Actually, I'll conflate this to religion, where people a lot of the time say, "Oh, look at this thing. Look at this. Look at this. Must be God." All these different examples. The fine tuning argument. That's a good one.
There's so much proof of deep state, though.
But. Yeah. There's no absolute proof. Like, there it is.
Which is why I bring up coming at the information in your own light. So if you have a bunch of people saying, this is the truth, this just happened, you should care about this. You should be afraid about what this is. It's like, you're fucking with me right there. Because you're telling me I should be afraid of something and I don't know who you are and I don't know why you have these things. If they're like, hey, we're going to empower you to see the truth behind this. Like, okay, if you feel empowered, go with it.
Yeah.
So, burden of proof, I think, becomes a weapon more often than not. I'm not, when I go on my channel and I talk about all this shit, it's crazy shit, I'm aware. I'm not gonna push this saying, please believe this. I'm gonna show you proof. It's not my job to give you proof. My job is to bring up the information so you're interested, and then you do your own research. Find your own knowledge behind it.
Planting the thought.
Yes, and not finding proof.
It.
Exactly, and not finding proof because everyone has their own definition of what proof is. Just, does it feel right to you? Do you feel comfortable believing it? And that's up to you.
You can't go on blind faith. You could,
okay.
No, I understand where
I'm not going on blind faith.
It's not that. It's he's.
I know.
He's giving people the idea, and he's letting people see if that idea can be proven and if it exists. Correct? Am I?
That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
It's the whole idea behind the fucking movie Inception, man.
Exactly.
It's giving people the chance to have an idea, not forcing the idea upon them.
Because if you force it, they get, hey, who's this person trying to force their shit on me and why?
But it's not malicious in
It's not. It's not.
That's the key.
But
your
it's like,
example of your channel, it's not that idea.
Precisely, and it's like, shit, I'm losing
Here,
it.
I'll give you guys a little bit of proof
Please.
of the deep state, though.
Yeah.
So the United States is extremely in debt, right? So, how does the United States keep running if they've been in debt for so long?
Borrowing?
Yeah, they keep borrowing.
Outsourcing, yeah.
Right? Okay, who are they borrowing money from?
Other governments?
No, they're not borrowing money from governments.
They definitely are borrowing money from other governments.
Governments don't.
Well,
governments don't own their own money.
You're right.
The federal,
course.
the federal banks of other governments.
So we've taken away. So the United States government owes money to the banks. Who owns the banks?
The people in charge, the deep state.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
Well,
okay. So
you have to then prove that. You have to then prove that the person who owns the bank.
No. Yeah, here's proof. I'm telling you. Just quiet for a second. Okay. If you have the ability to cut off the funding to the United States military, would you not say you have the amount of control? Would you not say you have control over the United States? If you could tell the United States tomorrow, like, yeah, you're not getting the money for your tank, you're in debt, you're going down, would you not say you have power over the United States?
Which is why Trump is fantastic, because he's like, hey, guess what, guys? This shit's happening, whether you like it or not. Crowdsourcing the funding for the wall. It didn't end up making it, but it's an example of, hey, you people can do this.
I'm still running with this idea though.
Yeah, sorry.
So the banks have complete control over the United States government because first off, the banks were like, yeah, you owe us so much money that if you don't do exactly what we say, we're going to cut funding. And then if we don't keep lending you money, or if we just cancel you, it's going to be like a foreclosure on the house.
I think that's one. It's the tip of the iceberg of the deep state.
I know, that's what I'm saying. It goes much further.
I think the banks are the power, but the people who control that power branch off in so many directions.
And then now that it started with the banks, then after the banks had all the power, they started implementing their own rules. They started making the governments do their own rules. You see the government bailing out the banks whenever they need it. That's just
and the media.
The fucking market crash, man.
Exactly.
Still pissed off about it.
Really great example.
Who bailed out the banks immediately? United States government. Immediately. Without a question. They had no choice.
If that's not an example of pure corruption and pure deep state, I don't know.
It goes further. The banks then made the United States change regulations. For every $1 that's deposited into the bank's allowed to lend out $100. $100 that doesn't exist. They're creating $100. That $100 collects interest when it's lent out to people. So on that $100, they make $200. Money that gets redeposited. That $200, they're now allowed to lend out $2,000. For $1 every $2,000. They're creating more money with the system that they force the United States to make.
And it doesn't even exist.
And you know who's always there's one central small family who's always owned the banks. That is proof of the deep state.
Here's a problem with that. So
tell me.
I think you're getting some misinformation. But when so first off, the government is not completely beholden to the bank. The government could, if they so chose, could print off $21 trillion.
Who's going to take that money?
And paid off their entire debt. And that could and it would absolutely work.
No, but
the only problem with that is that it would absolutely ruin their economy because of hyperinflation.
That's not why it won't work. Because sorry to interrupt you, but I have to get this out. If you print off your own money, you could only use that money in your own country. Because if you try to use that money with another country, the government doesn't own that bank.
But they're indebted not in euros; they're indebted in US dollars.
Doesn't matter. Because if you
pay for it in US dollars, they're going to have to accept US dollars.
Another thing, though, to keep in mind is that all the world's wealth is based off of the quantity of precious minerals that country has.
No, it's not. It's
now it's
currency. Not. No, it used to be. It's no longer.
And that's how we got into this fake system.
I'm going to derail this a bit.
Do it.
Oh, I was actually going to talk more about the bank and how.
Oh, I'm going to totally derail.
In conclusion,
what do you guys think about cryptocurrency countering a lot of these issues?
Why do you think cryptocurrency is so Why do you think the media is so skeptical of cryptocurrency? Have you ever realized that?
Time crypto is so incredible because it's the only money that's ever been created that has a complete base to it. No.
So why does the media hate it?
I need some feedback here.
Yeah. So why does the media hate cryptocurrency so much?
So much of it makes sense. I think it's the only currency that funds itself without being something.
Wait, so just so I have it clear, who is for and who's against cryptocurrency?
I'm way for cryptocurrency.
I'm for it,
You can't be
but
for
it
against
hasn't
though.
You can if you want to
been.
be.
I'm for it
What do you
succeeding.
mean though? Like
Well, you can have someone who says,
Success.
I never trust money that isn't real, and he'll go away, and that's his opinion. It may not
that's his
be...
opinion, but like in terms of regulation and stuff,
Oh, yeah.
it's completely impossible and unfounded to say that you're against it. So I guess I'm for it because I think it's a good step in the right direction for money. However, I want to say that right now the tone around it for everyone involved is ridiculous. People treat it more like a stock than a currency right now.
We have to roll back a bit and say we have to separate wealth.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
We have to separate wealth from money. So with cryptocurrency, when people say, "Oh, cryptocurrency is more valuable than it used to be," it's only because it's worth more wealth. It's not worth more money. You're more wealthy for having it, and it's the same thing with money. Example. The wealth you have if the government prints off more money goes down, but the money you have doesn't. And you know how you were saying earlier with the paying back the loan or inflation or whatever it might be. They're not creating money. What they're doing is it's a closed system.
They're not allowed to create their own
No,
money.
they're not. I think it's a misperception of what's happening when the bank loans out $100. It's $100 of the dollars that people have already invested in, and if people go for a bank run, which has happened historically, and they're not able to pay off, because the bank in that point is actually in debt to,
Or so they report.
like the person's in debt to the bank, or the bank is in debt to the person. For example, if you deposit money into the bank is in debt to you, and vice versa for if you loan from the bank. So when you're buying from the bank, or you're getting money from the bank, and they charge you a premium on that, they're not creating money. They're just taking more of your money in the end.
I'm saying that's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's by law. For every $1 that's deposited into the bank, they're allowed to lend out 100. They're creating money. They're
That's
not.
No,
Well,
they're just
hang on.
creating.
Can we pull that up?
It's like if you borrow money, you're not creating an extra
I'm just curious.
$100,000 if you borrow $100,000.
Was the
Okay, I get what you're saying
In
about
debt, $100,000.
I'm saying, why do they have the right to lend out this $100 that they didn't have to work for?
$100.
The only work they had to.
I'm just curious.
The only work they had to do to get that $100 is print it off. Why are they allowed to?
The bank didn't print it off.
Because
Yes.
all money is baseless,
No,
guys.
the bank didn't print it
that's my
off.
point with cryptocurrency is that it has a reason to be valuable. Money has no reason to be valuable, and no one can tell you that this. They can say this paper is valuable, but there is no base for it.
Yeah.
Crypto inherently gives itself a base to value itself off.
No, that's free. No, you're misunderstanding currency. Crypto itself is free floating.
Anyway, to tie it.
No, I don't
to
think.
tie the-
I don't think you're getting what I'm
To
saying.
tie this back into the deep state, do you know who's the largest investor in cryptocurrency? The banks.
Yeah,
They've
that
been
makes sense.
investing
I'm
as
not
much
surprised.
money as humanly possible into
Because I don't know
because
if
it's the
you,
only thing that rivals with them.
Well, I don't know if you guys know how a lot of cryptos work, but I won't. I'll spare you the boredom. But essentially, any crypto in theory could be totally controlled by one individual if they have access to 50% of it or more. Or sorry, anything over 50%.
Oh, 50% of the processing power, you mean?
No, if you own more than 50% of over 50% of the processing power, then in theory you have total control over that cryptocurrency.
But in theory, that's not how it should go down.
It has gone down though is the problem.
Yeah.
Like it does work.
For example, if you
50%
have
attacks.
Bitcoin, for example, Bitcoin's the largest one out there.
They've never had a 50% attack for the record, guys.
Bitcoin's never had a 50% attack, and
Other
that's how
cryptos
it's
have.
designed to work.
Yeah,
And
other
cryptos only fall to that because they're so small.
Yeah.
If you have something successful and being used as a currency around the world, then you're generally not going to have
But here's-
a 51%.
But here's the thing, though. What if the banks who distribute the crypto to people have that control. Even though the people may own the crypto, you get what I'm saying? The banks have this overarching power, and in theory, could have over 50%. You get what I'm getting at, right? Like they'll have that 51% control. Doesn't mean they have that though.
I mean, but at the same time, like, so you're saying like just because they can have it doesn't mean they do have it, is what you're saying?
What?
Kind of. It's kind of like how the banks hold your money right now. Like they could take it away, but under all these theoretical controls, they can't just steal your money, right? But with Bitcoin, it's a lot more hidden. There's no government that can force them to say, don't steal this, or don't steal this processing power.
There's only a company which can control it.
If the banks were to make some massive mining pool, or a bunch of mining pools, and link them all together in secret, there is nothing. There is no type of security that could stop them from doing that and prevent a 50% attack secretly happening.
And if you can do that, why wouldn't you?
That's what I mean. I think that the banks will end up controlling crypto way too much, and I really hope that I really hope that someone figures out a way around the whole 50% problem.
Yeah,
just like other cryptos have developed around other like Bitcoin problems. Like for example, a good one is how Bitcoin became only mineable by machines specifically designed to mine Bitcoin.
Oh, really?
I don't know if you know about that.
No, I had no idea.
But essentially, Bitcoin can only be realistically profitably mined by machines that are called ASICs, which can only mine Bitcoin. Before it was CPUs, then GPUs, all that sort of jazz. And then new cryptos came out, like Ethereum, stuff like that, competitors to Bitcoin, that are specifically designed to be ASIC resistant, which means that they are made to be mined by GPUs and GPUs only.
Yeah, true.
That makes sense?
No, that does make sense.
So the whole idea here is that cryptos, like any other software, could be developed around these restrictions. Again, I'm not an engineer or anything, so maybe a 50% or an anti-50% development is completely impossible. But I was just giving that tangent.
Anyway,
as an idea.
The thing is, those 50%, like anti-50%
I don't know
laws,
exactly how they work either.
It's kind of like monopoly laws if you think about it. They're similar to monopoly laws on how if someone's getting to that 50%, that total ownership over it, where they can snowball out of control, it can be prevented.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that can be prevented though, but just aren't. So like, I like to come at this from like a war type standpoint, where if you're going to try to figure out what a company is doing or what a group of people are trying to accomplish, I think it may seem a little over the top, but I think what you should do is imagine that they're going to do the worst thing possible, and if they have the power to take control, just think it's already happened, in my opinion. So, like, if we're talking about someone who potentially has the ability to take over an entire currency, I say treat that like it's already happened. Someone smarter has done it already. It's probably that.
I think I understand. It's sort of like a prepare for the worst, hope for the best sort of situation.
Yeah, I don't like that frame of mind, but that is what it is, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, mining pools are inherently problematic. It's just,
Yeah, the one thing I'm going to say before it's too late is I was wrong. It's not $1 to $100. It's $1 to $10. It still shows that they're putting money into the market. Yeah, it's showing it's still putting money in the market that wasn't there before. So they have control over how much money's in the economy. Proves the deep state. Anyway, before we yeah, sorry. It proves fine. I'll talk slowly for everybody. It proves that there is banks that the United States are completely powerless to, that are choosing how much money is in the economy, because they could choose that 10 to 11 whenever they want, and they've done it many times.
And what's the original money even based off of?
Yeah, but
nothing.
So I think we're getting a little bit too far away from conspiracies. So.
Well,
I say we go elbow deep in a real like silky one. We've been talking about a lot of
silky one.
We've been talking a lot about government ones. I'm saying,
actually, if we were talking about conspiracies and Wesley over here. This is why we brought him in. He's conspiracy central.
I know. I was gonna say. Let's get into something crazy. Like
you want crazy? I'll give you crazy.
Like chemtrails, man. Let's get into something.
Right. Okay, so before I go in crazy,
I'm talking about government. I'm talking about freaking reptiles being Hillary Clinton. Let's get something.
Let's get to it.
Really, something we could debate.
That's because she is.
Get into it. Alrighty. So first, I want to open this up by who here has seen a UFO?
No.
No?
I can't say that I actually.
That's a negative for me.
I have seen something in the sky that I can't explain. But are you talking about aliens?
So was an unidentified flying object that you saw?
I haven't identified it. It doesn't mean it's not identified as something.
Yeah, same here.
No, I'm talking about you though. Have you seen it? Not someone else.
I mean, I've seen what I assume to be a plane in the sky flying above.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
But I don't know that I can't see the plane.
I mean, I get what you're saying though. I've seen some screwed up shit in the sky before.
Yeah,
it's a pretty good sky.
So I don't know. Like, I think I'm of the opinion through 5 years, almost 7 now, at least 6, almost 7 now, of looking into this stuff. It seems to me like everything is connected. One thing leads to another, which is why to go down into this rabbit hole is so difficult because the information never ends because everything is connected. So when we talk about conspiracy stuff, I believe that there is an alien issue that is very much involved. And I think
we're going into aliens.
Oh yeah, we're going to aliens now. We're going to aliens now.
And I'm not going to be very useful. I'm not going to be very useful here. I hate aliens.
Honestly, I'm not going to be upset if chemtrails end up to us becoming Ninja Turtles.
True, that'd be sweet.
I mean, I wouldn't mind if
what if they make us?
Can we back it up? Because Josh just snuck in that he said he doesn't believe in aliens.
I don't believe in aliens. I don't believe aliens.
Come on.
I don't believe aliens have been to Earth.
Oh no! I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like even if you take away this whole debate of how to come Earth and all that. I believe so unlikely.
I believe there is a good chance that aliens are on other planets.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting.
But I'm saying anyone who claims to have been picked up by an alien is an idiot because they always have things. I'll get into it later.
I thought you were saying
it's always like very medical.
Well, it's always like they had buttons. Why the hell would aliens have?
I thought you were saying like you don't believe in any existence. Anyways, continue.
I kind of don't.
So here's the thing, right? Is let's say they exist. Let's say it's all a real thing.
Yes.
Okay. So logically speaking, why would they have buttons? Like what the fuck? Like why ever?
Why would they have fingers?
Why would they have fingers? All that stuff, right? So here's the thing: if let's say aliens do exist, that means we already know about it. If aliens do exist, that means Roswell did happen.
Yeah.
Okay? So if they do, and Roswell did happen, that means the U.S. or the governments know about it, but they're not telling you about it, right? So why don't they tell you about it? Well, because they want the technology for themselves. They want to reverse engineer it, right? Oh. But here's the problem. We're human. We're not them. We can't pilot their crafts. Yeah. So sometimes we'll take the idea of their craft and put a human spin on it, which is why you might get some buttons here and there. Then it's like, well, then why am I being kidnapped by aliens? Maybe you're not always being kidnapped by aliens. Maybe you're being kidnapped sometimes by the U.S. government or some governments. So I'm not saying that all the abductions are that. I'm just saying that there is a shit ton that probably are. And do those groups have the technology to fake shit like that? Look at this shit we put in movies. And then the military is 55 years more advanced than us? Of course they can trick you.
They did do that. MK Ultra.
MK Ultra.
Yeah,
very good.
That was a little less.
I know, but I'm just saying they have done things where they have fucked with people.
So there we go.
Wesley, here's the thing though. I'm gonna tie this back to the whole thought, whatever it was called, the thought injection idea.
Sure, yeah.
Do you think that if the U.S. is kidnapping people, they want people to think that they were kidnapped by aliens?
I think in some cases,
you know what I mean, to loop it all into some believable theory.
I think in some cases that is probably it. I think there's a lot of people who are doing different things at different times. Like, I'll put it this way: if we, let's say we all believe that ETs are evil and that they want to hurt us and all that sort of shit. Well, then we're not going to be willing to trust them or talk to them, which is why they want to push the narrative of fear. Because let's say we do find out a way to start talking to these things, or people, I guess, we're probably going to find out some stuff that is being misled here. I imagine.
Some eye-opening shit.
Yeah. So, from a war standpoint, if I want to keep my slaves in line, I don't want them having any outside contact. So I got to make them fear the outside contact. So in case my defenses slip up, there's still a fail-safe.
It's sort of like the North Korea example, where maybe they have multiple lines of defense. One, they believe Kim Jong-un is a god and could kill every single one of them at any time.
Mm-hmm. And
they hate the outside world and think they're terrible and horrible monsters, like the U.S. killing hundreds of millions.
Yeah.
It has happened, but it's not necessarily maliciously. It could be for a good reason.
Well, I think that's a really good point.
Then there's what's the other one? It's people who they knew before, absolutely just disappearing out of nowhere.
Yeah, it makes you afraid.
And then everyone's saying, like everyone around you saying that that person never existed.
Yeah.
Even if they don't believe it, they have to say it.
So on that point, so let's say you, a Canadian/American, a Westerner of some kind, a white guy, walks in there and says, "Hey, I'm just chilling out. I'm here." You're probably going to get a lot of prejudice already because of preset beliefs. And isn't it funny how we've been raised in a society that does mock this shit? It mocks it openly, and it's like, all right, so now if anyone with any information approaches you, you're like, that guy's fucking crazy, what? Here's the thing, there's a lot of crazy people, I'm not going to lie. But, based on Murphy's Law, there's probably some people who've had some crazy shit happen to them. And on that point as well, if we look at like, oh, well, that's impossible, that can't happen. If people from ancient times saw this, they'd be like, what the that's impossible, it's magic. What about a civilization that's like 50 to a million, if not even more, light years advanced than us? It's going to look like magic. It's going to seem impossible. Mm-hmm. It's going to, like, our human mind is not going to compute with their principles.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, though, is that, like, with that whole Murphy's Law thing, is that you really got to think, I mean, hundreds, maybe probably thousands of people have made these claims. What are the odds that all of them are completely lying?
Exactly. Or let's say it's like, we're all telling the truth. Probably not. There's probably a couple of you guys that are just off your ass crazy, seeing things because you're on acid or something, right? But in my opinion, I think there's probably a decent amount who are there sort of like, oh, like I saw this being. It's like, okay, I'm going to be skeptical because anything can be lied about, but tell me about the being. Am I going to notice things that's likely for humans to think up? Or am I going to find things that are inconsistent, that don't make any sense to me? Because guess what? It's E.T. and I'm human. It's not going to make any sense.
I think you are abusing Murphy's Law a little bit. You can make a absolutely hysterical claim or absolutely insane claim and then say Murphy's Law, and it's not necessarily true.
Because you're assuming from the one point, like when I say you have to think of this from two examples, it's like the first example is an example of it's all fake, it's all bullshit, and the world that you see is what it is. If you come at this crazy stuff from that point of view, it will never compute. It's not supposed to compute because this is a brainwashed example, if it's true, if that's the case.
Is anything real?
Well, there we go. That's on this side. On this side of the coin, nothing is real, and this is all an illusion.
I mean, that's the thing, though. Like, you gotta... I know it's too relevant right now, but you really gotta think, I mean, the laws of physics and all that shit, like...
Well, there we go.
Like...
Sorry.
Oh, man. That's what I mean. I'm kind of sold on the whole simulation or...
I like that you brought up laws of physics, right? Because when Einstein, and there's debate on who actually made it, but I don't give a fuck right now.
Yeah,
if Einstein was like, okay, here's a physical law. You cannot go past the speed of light. It's like, all right. And so we had a bunch of years of that, where the entire scientific model was based around the premises of this. The issue is now, modern day, 50 years ahead of time, we're putting particles in the Large Hadron Collider in Geneva, Switzerland.
I know what you're talking about.
We're doing that, and some of them, not all, but some of those experiments do have particles going faster than the speed of light, which according to the theoretical model is not supposed to happen.
From
No,
what
no, that was
I understand.
unfair.
That's
Okay.
total. That's not.
Hold on a second. No, that was a mismeasurement of neutrinos.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
I know exactly what you're
I know
talking
what he's
about.
talking
That was a
about.
mismeasurement of neutrinos. The only thing that has ever been shown theoretically to travel faster than the speed of sound is information of quantumly linked particles.
Oh, that's not true.
Oh?
Absence of light. Shadows have been proven to move faster than light.
Yeah, but that's just
the absence of existence.
That's just
though.
the inverse of shadows.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
theoretically,
I'm just throwing that out there.
No,
A shadow can move faster than light in theory.
a shadow is not a thing, though. A shadow is just lack of something.
I know. Who says it's not a thing?
Well, it's funny how there's such thing as a double positive, but not a double negative. Oh, no, a double negative, not a double positive.
A double positive is just a positive.
Exactly. Like, you can't do a double thing there. Whereas with the negative, you can. And that's just a language example, but I feel like as above, so below. If you can make that comparison and you can't logically come up with another way, at least to the human mind, then all there is would mean it's just existence. And if there's just existence, that means infinity exists. And if that exists, then that means all this shit exists in some capacity.
Do you guys believe that this reality is the reality?
Are you talking about the multi-universe theory? I'm just...
I'm talking. When I say if infinity exists, that means it all exists. That means like no matter what theory or imagining or whatever it is, it does exist in some way, and you must acknowledge that as a working part of the universe.
Oh, as in like the universe is infinite, and if it is infinite, then it must be whatever it is must be replicated somewhere else.
That's only if you believe the universe is infinite.
Yes, exactly. And there's a lot. There's different perspectives for why it is or is not. My opinion is it is. I've had enough experience on my own to think there's no way there's a limit to this shit. There's no fucking way. And if there is, then I'm wrong. But as far as I've seen so far, it's like, you know.
I mean, I think the universe definitely is like quantitative. Like you could definitely count it because like we have the observable universe, and then we have it's beyond nothing. It's so much nothingness. It doesn't exist to the point where you can't even talk about it. Because there's just nothing. You can't go there because it doesn't exist.
I've been there.
You've been there.
I've been there. No. I've been in that thought form before.
No,
I haven't envisioned non-existence.
Hey, man, I don't know.
Rewind again.
Because if you,
I want to rewind to my point.
Because the universe is like Cam, you could talk. You never talk.
You never talk.
You never talk.
You exactly.
He's never talked.
I know I'm kind of segue, but like, do you guys think that this is it? That this universe, this universe
Are you talking about
is.
afterlife, or are you talking about just like...
I'm talking about the good old classic Matrix theory. Do you think that this is it?
Yeah,
In one way or another, do you think this is reality?
Man, there's not a shred of evidence that this isn't.
No,
it.
hear me out.
I mean, there is, but anyway.
I want to get my point about like laws of physics and stuff. What defined this? What created those?
Well, here's
what put these bounds on us? You could say the Big Bang and all that, but what started that small pin in the universe?
You sound religious now.
What
man.
did?
Yeah.
Well, that's the problem with a lot of this shit.
I don't believe in a god. I believe something created the universe.
A god.
I know.
Well, here's the thing.
I think it was a simulation.
Now,
I believe the simulation.
I think you guys are on a good point. I'm not afraid to say I believe in a god type being because and I came at this first from a total atheist standpoint, and now I believe in this shit. When I start going through the research into ETs and stuff like that, when you get into stuff that I believe is more credible, the common thing that you get, the common message you get from a lot of these races is that there is an understanding of some kind of central source of some kind. And you can call it God, or you can call it source, or the force, or whatever the fuck it is.
There is one.
But there is a consensus among supposed species. There is a oneness. And if those beings are to believe to be existing, right? Then maybe we down on Earth, who are fucking still playing around with war, still playing around with motors, even though it's archaic, maybe we could learn something from that. And I'm not saying convert or become religious. I'm just saying, look at. In my opinion, it is a no-brainer that infinity exists.
I mean, here's
I think
the thing.
religion isn't the answer, though.
Oh, it's not the answer. No.
That's my key. I don't think that there's some mystical being.
Yeah,
that's all. But
well,
I'll let you take over.
Here's what I want. let's say, first rewinding a bit, Josh, when you say observable universe, that's the only reason that's the observable universe is because time theoretically, light moves at such a speed, and it's only light that's at such a speed, and that's how long light takes to go from here to the
it's a pinnacle that we
travel,
choose.
and that because that's how fast it goes, that's how far we can see. So the observable universe is growing very, very, very fast.
Yeah,
Okay, but can
It's actually going faster than the speed of light.
there you go.
Can
That's
Okay.
for a different reason.
okay, but
I know the
if
difference.
okay,
Yeah.
but okay, really think about this. If the universe was infinite, it wouldn't be able to grow.
Well, so you're not
You gotta think about
quite.
infinities.
No.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
Are you
So-
talking about like different levels of
So
infinity?
then let
now?
me break down my personal understanding of how this works, right? So let's put some validity into the multiverse theory, right? So and you can have a problem with that, that's fine.
Wiggly strings.
Exactly, string theory. Now, how I've been told it works is kind of like you'll have one universe that a Big Bang happens, right? And it's there, and it expands and expands. But there is a limit to a universe that's supposed to work within limits of infinity.
A created bound.
Yes, a created bound. So, because there is a limitation, the universe will literally, like a bubble, like split, and then another Big Bang happens. Both these universes start again, fresh, but now there's two. And so it's like a cell in that sense.
there's multiple different variations on how I see the multiverse theory. One of the more popular ones is every single decision made,
Is a
a
branch
different
point.
universe is created.
Which
So
is-
Cam decides to pick up the chip.
Yeah.
There's a universe where Cam doesn't decide to pick up the chip.
Now it's-
and he's significantly better for it. But
Fucking wrong, Cam.
and then no, that's just one example
Yeah.
of the multiverse theory.
I like that example, though.
Now, here's the thing. With Cam said earlier with the fine-tuning argument of where all these things like the weak force, the strong force, electromagnetic force, all these different things. Well, we have to work with assuming that this our universe is this way, and we wouldn't exist to question this if our universe wasn't this way.
True.
There may be other universes that do exist where it doesn't work if we assume the multi-universe theory is correct, or we are the only universe, and it just so happened to be by a random dice roll that this set happened. Now, it's one in infinity that this exact set happened, so far as we can tell, but it doesn't mean it's it theoretically is impossible if using math, but in actuality, once it's calculated, it's not impossible. Yo,
The one thing I'm gonna say here is, like, I'm gonna sound like a complete and utter douchebag by saying this, but sometimes people say, like, especially scientists, sounds like they got their heads up their own asses.
Oh, yeah.
Because you guys are all using this speculation, these theories, based on nothing but theories. Like, string theory is just a theory, and the basis of string theory is just based on other theories. Like, we don't have a lot of scientific or mathematical, like, data to, like, prove these. We have scientific and mathematical data to make models, and we have these models to predict different things that are going to happen. And we use, based off the models of things that are going to happen, we use that to make charts and graphs, and that's how we make string theory. Now you're using string theory, which is based on all those, which could be falsehoods.
Could I put some out?
Yeah, just one second.
Yeah.
Just make this idea about the universe, and it's like, I don't know. It's like
So-
I actually see people in this universe, so that sounds a lot more real than those falsehoods.
Yeah, okay, so that's great, but I think that comes down to again us needing to know things. There's so many times in situations where you just have to act, you just have to do things. You might not have all the information, but fuck it, you gotta go and do something, right? And I think sitting around here and saying, well, we know this, we don't know that. It's like I think we can get caught up in that a little too much. Like if I see an empowering message from QAnon that says, hey, this thing's about to happen, you should stand up for yourself, and if you believe this, spread it around to yourself. It's like, okay, so that's what I believe. I don't know what this rando, it's probably not even Trump. The guy's a fucking idiot. It's probably a team within the White House. Now but if these people who I don't know are going to give me this information that I'm going to act upon, there's no way I can know if they're being true or not. There's no way I can absolutely know. But if I feel that it's going to help me or the people that are around me, I'm going to do it. And so I don't need to have all these things of proof. I'm just going to do what I think is best, in my opinion.
What makes you have that feeling, though?
So when I get really passionate about the deep state and stuff like that because I've seen some footage of what they're capable of, and it pisses me off a lot.
Such as?
There's a video that was circulating for a while. They've hunted it down by this point. It's Hillary Clinton, and she's in a group of people, and they're all wearing robes and masks. And Hillary Clinton doesn't have her mask on because she's going to be putting on a new one. There's a child in the middle of this room, and this child gets her face skinned off and then worn by these people.
Oh shit, the Alex Jones shit, dude.
Were you deep in this, man?
Oh yeah.
Let's find the video.
No, you're not going to find it. I guarantee you're not going to find it.
Search for 5 hours. You're not going to find it.
I've searched it once, and I had some people going, "Oh, this is crazy," and I've been trying to look for it, and I can't find it now, which makes sense.
Well, okay.
I was gonna say, Tor, we go.
Do it. I mean,
I will say, like, you know, like when it comes to secret societies, like I heard this from somewhere, and if this is true, there will be a source.
Yeah.
In the description. If you don't see a source in the description, this is complete and utter bullshit.
Or we just haven't found it.
Or we haven't found it.
We'll have a little side note. Josh was talking.
I did see this. I did read this. This isn't something I got told by somebody. But that a lot of people, either Republican or either Democrat, have belonged to the same secret societies.
Oh,
It goes back to Bill Clinton.
you noticed that too.
What was it? It was, oh man, I forget it. I feel so stupid. There will be links.
Well, even if there's not, you can. It doesn't matter who you are or who the politician is. You can trace this stuff. Okay, and I haven't done the full research on this, but I've seen enough points to be able to say, that dot connects to this dot.
Yeah.
You can trace this shit back to like the Knights of the Templar, which work for who?
Try and find it too.
The Pope.
I don't know where to look.
And it's like a lot of this shit kind of coincides with each other. The more you look, and I also think that's why there's such a push to make people fight each other and get against each other. Because if you're focusing on that you're right and this person's wrong, then you're taking away from the true point, which in my opinion is finding the fucking truth.
Yeah.
The only problem with that, with people fighting. People have been fighting for ages.
And it just so happens these people have been with us for ages.
But even before the UK, before the US,
before the UK,
before the Vatican,
before even humanity was a thing. And this is why aliens come into it.
Whoa. Holy shit.
Hang on. Wrap it up with aliens.
You want to explain where it is?
I will. Okay, so...
Hold on. I'm surprised you guys didn't go into, like,
That's an
different
awkward
dimensions.
question.
Well, it is really. It is
That's
kind of.
getting cut.
Well, like, how the 8th dimension connects to the 5th dimension, which...
Well, I don't know about the technicalities, because that gets into stuff that humans don't have much experience in my opinion. I mean, yes, math and science, but we're basing it off of people who thought they knew the universe.
We're basing it off of models, and we're basing it off of data that we got from models.
Exactly, which is why just follow your intuition, man. Just do it.
That's why I have problems with a lot of science.
Yeah,
the problem is, where does your intuition come from?
Well, if
it comes from your own biases and your own.
But that's what it
that's the
comes
problem,
down to, though. In the end of it,
that's the problem.
It is. Well,
there is no true. There is no real truth. There's
You're right. It's Plato's form. Now
that's why I believe in this boundless, in this thing that we can't explain, and we're all trapped in it. And the reason why a lot of people refuse to believe it is, wow, I'm just like totally reciting this. This has already been fucking Matrix. People have always said this, but that's why we can't understand it, is because it's ununderstandable. I think the Matrix actually showed it pretty badly because it showed normal humans.
Yeah,
it showed a normal world. I think it's something that we can't even fucking comprehend.
And I feel I got a taste of that when I took salvia.
That's what I mean. A lot of people that describe psychedelics, like DMT and shit, I think that it's linked
here's the
to
thing.
the truth.
Here's the problem with it. Here's the problem with it. I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna say, but it's in your head, which is, and it could be a drug-induced thing, so it shouldn't have validity because of that, right?
That's
Kind of
pure mind expansion,
but
man.
here's the problem with that. So you're saying that the consciousness, because it created this, it can't be real. But if you look at a random number generator, you will find that the human consciousness has effect on that.
Yeah.
So if they, look it up here.
Wait a second.
Here we go.
What do you mean, like a random number generator?
If you go
affected by
human consciousness, correct. That's what I said.
If we're gonna talk about psychedelic drugs, it's like a way to enter a different universe.
I'm kind of suggesting that actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I obviously have no experience for the record here.
Are you talking about quantum theory and how once something is observed, it conforms to an absolute?
I think that's where it's based off of. I don't like going off that completely
I think he's talking about quantum tethering.
Josh, I'll let you.
Quantum tethering is a good way to say it. I don't like really saying quantum because quantum is the smallest thing we can measure, but that's based off human measurements, and we're
everything.
limited.
Quantum mechanics is great.
If you want to sound smart, say quantum.
Yeah,
true. Or in retrospect, if you say stuff like that.
retrospect.
Yeah.
Furthermore.
Yeah.
Furthermore.
Anyway, to talk about psychedelics, like I am going to go with the argument that it's all in your head because that's the only thing that's been scientifically proven about it.
Then why does your consciousness, which is all in your head, have power over an external object?
Hear me out, guys. I do think it's in your head. I think it's expanding the limits of what you can perceive.
Yes,
that's fine.
That's it. I think that how I'm talking about this boundless thing we can't understand. I think psychedelics bring you closer to that ununderstandable thing in the unaltered human mind. Does that make sense, guys?
Yeah,
that sounds like psychosis to me.
What is psychosis? What is psychosis? Okay,
that sounds like psychosis to me. That sounds like you're believing delusions.
And if you have a group of people,
you're not getting what I'm saying.
And if you have a group of people
I'm not saying that
are saying, "Oh, I had such and such an alien experience."
No, I'm not.
No, wait, hold on. A group of people in a room saying, "We all had a crazy alien experience." Whatever. It's like, cool, that's fine. I think there are definitely people who are going to be fucking crazy, mentally ill in that group. But I also think seeing some of this shit, experiencing some of this shit, can make you fucking crazy.
Yeah, Josh.
Because you're not meant to understand it, right?
I think you're misunderstanding me. I'm not saying that you should believe the delusions as real reality.
Yeah,
I'm saying that the delusions and hallucinations give you an unexplainable perspective that you would have never received if not for the drugs. Does that make sense?
It shows you that there could be a different reality.
Yeah,
possibly.
You're kind of getting where I'm getting
so
at.
it's when you take the hallucinogenics, it's not showing you the reality.
Yes.
It's showing you that there's many possibilities.
It's bringing you closer to the real possibility, which is every possibility.
Yeah, which is why, and I'm going to talk about my salvia experience now. Are you guys ready?
I just one last thing. I think you guys are excluding the possibility that our reality is the reality, though, in this thing. And that's
just it. This is the reality. There is no the or the single
for the record, as kind of neutral I've been in my theory, saying like, oh, this could be it, this could be this.
Yeah.
I honestly, truly believe there's no chance in hell that this is reality.
I think that.
If you hold up for a second, Cam, I know you've seen Inception.
Yeah.
Everyone else seen Inception?
In shizzle,
yeah. Movie.
So this isn't really a spoiler, but the main it's not really a spoiler, and it's more than 2 years old, so I don't care.
It's the rule.
That's the rule. Anyway,
2006.
but the wife of the main character, who was played by Leonardo DiCaprio,
he's hot.
The wife of him, of the main character, kills herself in the real world because she thinks the real world is a fake dream world, and the way to escape the dream world within the movie is to kill yourself. Yeah.
So she thinks that principle follows. Yeah.
So she thinks in the real world that I have to kill myself in the real world because I must be in a fake world.
I think of the problem with her thing there, and why that was a good example is because so she was like, oh, this is the real world, this is the fake one. I belong in the real one, so I gotta do all this shit, whatever it is. to get to the real one. Here's the thing, though. If you're already in this one, then why can you not just accept that this is real and so is this? And now you're here. This is still real. You're okay being here, but... a
blue pill, so to speak?
Well, it's more so like just accept where you are. So like when I was in high school,
I get what you're saying.
Before my big, I like to say, awakening, I was very much like, there is no God, that's it. Whatever's in front of you is all there is, and all that sort of stuff. And and then my reality changed, and if I was like, no, this reality is not right. The one before, which makes sense, it makes a lot of human sense, and that's why it was cool with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. If I want to go back here, I have to do some shit to get back at this point. I'll just stay here.
I gotta ask.
I'm already here.
I gotta ask something.
What's that?
What did it?
What did it?
What did your...
So,
what do you... I don't know if you can
here's, there is. Here's why I asked you guys who has seen a UFO. Because I saw some shit that as hard as I tried, and believe me, I tried really hard, because if it was real, my reality is different. If it's not, then everything's still fine, it's cool. So I saw on the Victoria Day weekend, I was taking a jog.
Victoria Day is our sort of like Columbus Day.
No,
sure.
Who gives a fuck?
It's sort of like our Columbus Day.
National.
Large American family.
It's a day off. That's what you need to know.
Sure, yeah. And it's also, it's not, would you say it's common to shoot fireworks on Victoria Day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there you go. So I'm running down the street, and it's like, great. And I see a bunch of orange lights in the sky that look bar none exactly like street lights. And I'm like, oh, they're street lights. Keep running. But as I'm running, I'm noticing that these street lights are not placed where they should be. Because if they are, then that means they're in someone's backyard. And it's like, that doesn't quite make sense.
Were you in someone's backyard?
No, I was running on the street.
Okay.
Running on the street like a normal human being.
Unexplainable, so to speak.
Yeah, but it's also Victoria Day. There's fireworks all over the place.
Yeah,
there's slow burners. But I have that in mind. So I'm looking at these lights in the sky, and they're not disappearing. They're not going down. They're not exploding. They're just there.
Were they completely stationary?
No, they started to move, and it was a series. It was like 4 or 5 of them. Boom, 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 and they're moving. And I'm like, what the And it's not an aircraft, because if it was a conjoined aircraft between...
How close was this to you?
Well, that's part of the problem. That's part of the problem. I'm trying to figure this shit out. So I'm seeing that there's no lights in between it, so the mass is not like the object.
Your perception wasn't...
Yeah.
Okay.
And each individual light is just solid. There's no flashing lights on each one, so they're not individual things, right? But they're floating there, and I'm like, okay, so this can't be a plane. There's no sound. Either it's super close and it's really small, or it's really far away and it's massive. Either way, it's interesting. I'm gonna try to follow it. So I'm following it, and as I'm doing it, I'm seeing people are leaving their driveways and starting to follow this thing with me. Like I'm running down the street following this thing, and people are going faster and like going the same direction at basically the same time. Wow. And it's like one person maybe he's going to get a thing of milk, he's going the right thing, but there was a group of people from like streets that were coming out saying, "What the fuck is that?" and going for it. So I'm following it, and then after about 10 minutes, one by one, each light, and that's it. They're gone. Yes.
I want to say this, like, I believe that story. Like, I know people have seen stuff way more crazy than that. I believe them. But why can't, there's so much of our reality we haven't found yet. Why can't that just be part of our reality?
I think you're right. But if so much is a part of our reality, then why couldn't it be E.T.?
I mean, no, I'm just saying,
what is our reality?
Exactly.
What do you define as our reality?
There you
That's
go.
the key here.
What's real?
Okay,
So there's that. But basically, so I look at this thing. And I'm like, okay, so A, it's ET, or B, it's something I haven't explained, or I haven't seen or explained yet. Some anomaly that cannot be explained that I don't know about. So the point of it is, I saw some shit that I was like, I need to know what this is. I have to know. And so it just got me down on the line of doing this research. And as I'm going through the research, it's like, I do hit these points when I'm watching videos of supposed UFOs and stuff like that, and it's like, that's definitely fake. I'm not so sure about that one. That one's definitely fake. You go through it, and eventually you realize you can fake it all. Technically speaking, like, if you're realistic, you can fake all that shit. But the issue is, if it's all fake, why is there so much? Like, if it's not, like, it might get you some money, but there's some shit that doesn't make sense for money. And then once you look at the videos, it's like, okay, so I'll have to take it with, like, a grain of salt. Instead, I'm going to start looking for people who have apparently been there, seen things, have knowledge we're not supposed to have. I'm going to look at those stories. I'm not going to take them as legit. I'm going to say, that's your experience? I want to hear if I get the same experience from multiple people who, as far as I'm aware, wouldn't have any connection with each other. Yeah. And that's where cross-referencing comes in. But, you know, at that point I should be like, oh, look at this person, look at that person. You got to do your own research.
Are you, when that event happened, the 5 lights thing?
5 lights.
Well, that's what we'll call it,
sure.
I guess.
5 lights.
Did you ask anyone else that, because you said there was tons and tons of other people.
Yeah.
Did you ask a single other person
there? Well, here's the thing.
About it?
Well, that's the thing, well, first of all, they're all in cars and driving off. Second thing is, I'm at this point where I'm total atheist. I don't believe in this shit. Like, in my opinion, this shit cannot happen, which is why I'm like, why am I seeing this? It shouldn't be possible. So I'm afraid to talk to people about this because they're going to think I'm crazy. At this point, I'm still, because I'm ingrained in these brainwashed beliefs, I'm very, like, my image. I don't want people to think I'm that crazy guy, so I'm just not going to say anything. I'm just going to Exactly. I'm just going to quietly do my research. And then if I find out, maybe I'll say something. And, I mean, you find out your own lesson there, but, yeah.
And then, there's another thing. Does anyone know what the Truman Show is?
The Truman Show, yeah.
I know the concept. I haven't seen it.
It pretty well.
Yeah.
It's someone, this guy.
Yeah.
They turned his life into a TV show.
Like from birth.
From birth.
Yeah.
Theoretically, up until the day he died, and everyone around him was in on it.
Yeah.
And he was contained within this, like, not glass dome, like a.
But it's a set.
Like a painted dome, and he was inside that dome, and he was not able to leave.
Yeah.
And the end of the movie, if any
spoilers.
No, it's not spoilers because it's over
like
2 years
20
old.
years old, man.
Yeah, if you haven't seen this, get out one of the fucking Rocky Banana.
But the thing is,
I know. I already know.
At the end of the movie, he crashes into the wall because he tries to escape.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. Does he figure it out?
Because he always wanted to sail. But he wasn't allowed to see that wall. And then he sails into the fucking wall.
Yeah. He does figure it out.
Yeah. So he does figure it out eventually.
He figures it out within the first 20 minutes. It's just him trying to
piece it together.
Because he's so brainwashed.
Exactly.
That's a good relation to this.
It's a very good relation.
Okay, here's 2 things.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm Truman at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
You're not special, screw you.
You ain't no special snowflake.
You're the freaking bystander. I'm the special one. Go fuck yourself.
It's the Josh show.
No. Here's why. Because a lot of things, like especially like just starting off, all 4 of you, I'm not gonna say absolutely believe, but you guys generally believe in the deep state theory. I'm not necessarily as fully ingrained. I was saying, it could be a possibility, but
which is a healthy stance to have.
I'm not extreme in it.
Don't think it's actually true.
No,
I'm 100% on that.
Yeah, I don't know why you disputed. The deep state is the banks owning everything, controlling the army.
No, I question the bounds of the deep state, but I think undeniably there is an overpowering force that we're unaware of.
I think it's more.
I don't know the bounds of it. I don't know what it really controls, but you get what I'm saying, right? There is this overarching.
Depending on what you define it as, it could be
no matter how
far encompassing. Like that bank thing that Josh just said.
I think it is far encompassing.
I think we all just believe in the deep state. The problem is we're all just trying to figure out how much power they really have.
And what it fully means. I don't necessarily believe that, and I have my own reasons for disagreeing with the bank thing. Which
I don't get.
Something else.
But whatever. I think the point is know thy enemy. I'm lucky enough to have seen some faces of my enemy. And when I did, I was like, oh, I can't let this shit happen because these people are killing children. They're pedovores, not pedophiles, pedovores who do that shit, but also eat the kid after. Right? And here we go. It's a problem.
No, I'm saying that does not sound very clean.
No. Hang on a second, Wesley. This isn't going to be a side point. We're going to do the thing that we've done quite a few times already. You got to explain yourself.
Okay, so I think the biggest weapon they have against us is that most people cannot imagine, I don't like to use the word evil, but extreme negativity. And in order to perpetrate this shit to the extent, and to get away with it to the extent, is you have to be capable of terrible shit. You have to live off this shit.
Got it.
So part of living off it, and this is why I get to Hillary Clinton, the cutting the face off the kid, is because a lot of these assholes in there are pedivores. They're cannibals. That's why I talk about Hillary Clinton doing this to his child.
This guy's gonna go off on Pizzagate.
Now, I won't go off on Pizzagate because it's all connected, but one thing that's interesting to note is that if you dissolve the adrenal gland into a bloodstream and then drink that blood, you will get incredibly high. This is knowledge you'll get into once you start doing research into the deep state, into pedivores and all that sort of shit. So look into that, the adrenal gland, right? That's why they would do a bunch of all this shit.
Does anyone...
Yeah.
This is a thing.
You've
done
what actually happens is if you consume too much of like a human brain or something like that, you'll enter a state of kuru where you don't stop laughing until you die.
Oh yeah,
it's like basically overdosing on the shit. It's.
Does anyone know what causes it though?
I know what causes it.
It's on the same level.
Hold on a second. Compound, or is it?
It has to be compounds. Everything's a chemical reaction.
No, but the thing is, like, what if it? Oh man!
Here's the thing about that.
You didn't know about this?
Here's the thing about that Kuru thing.
No, I didn't.
Hold up.
Lost Hillary Clinton snuff. Sorry, pardon, guys, for my loud voice.
Yeah, you have to bear in mind their quarters right there. So
You found the video?
No way.
No, but it's like
it's a video
people
of a
know
video.
about it. I don't know if it's gonna be
I kind of want to mute this just so that the...
Yeah, of course.
Well, we can always cut this out.
No, but like this is cool.
Dude, watch like freaking bunch of people.
Imagine your fucking laptop just explodes.
Oh, he's talking about it. But anyway, I'm like it's not some shit I pulled out of my ass.
It's another one of Wesley's fellow conspiracy theorists.
But here's another thing that I get is like, but you conspiracy theorists are like 1% of the population. Really? Look at all this shit with QAnon.
25% of people in the United States believe that 9/11 was an inside job. So. And I'm not. And there's a lot of conspiracy theorists who don't think 9/11 was an inside job. So you can see the amount of conspiracy theorists in the United States think just about everyone is skeptical of at least one thing that's happened in the world.
The funny thing, the greatest thing about the 9/11 conspiracy was the thing that jet fuel doesn't melt steel beams. Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It doesn't absolutely dissolve steel beams. You know what it does do? Heats them up tremendously. And have you ever heated up a piece of metal before and then bent it?
This way, yes?
You can bend metal very easily when you heat it up.
This way, not this way.
Yeah, but if you bend something slightly and it has a lot of pressure on it,
Have you seen the 9/11 clips?
I have seen that.
It goes straight down.
It doesn't. No.
There's no wiggle down.
Have you ever seen
literally,
like
just
forgery, like how malleable?
Okay, can we talk about the building that went down that wasn't actually hit by a plane too?
Yeah, right. Or talk about how the newscast reported it 5 minutes before it happened.
Yeah, and can we also talk about
That's
the
because
fact
the
that
Australians told them about it.
Oh, there you go.
Can we also talk about how the on 9/11 how the Pentagon was hit?
Yeah.
And there's no videos of the Pentagon. There's one video of the Pentagon, the fucking Pentagon being hit.
Yeah.
And the only thing that was destroyed is records.
Yeah, right?
Come on.
Okay.
Come on, dude. You gotta believe him, dude.
Can I do a segue really quick of like losing records?
Yeah.
Isn't it funny how apparently, according to NASA themselves, I've seen the video of an astronaut explaining this, the reason why we haven't gone back to the moon yet is because we destroyed all the records and the technology is too hard to build, so we're just not going to go back.
That's what I heard too.
Yet, we're going to go to Mars and get past the Van Halen belt, which wipes out all your electronics, even though we've already done that in the past, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to get a satellite there.
Do you think, what about SpaceX though? Do you think that their technology is anything profound compared to what NASA has done?
I'm going to say that NASA, never a straight answer, is like just the cover company. I find it interesting that Trump was talking way back when about there's gonna be a space force.
I like that acronym, by the way.
Yeah.
Never.
The thing though is, I think that if all this stuff exists, if all this crazy shit is possible, we already have a space force. It's already out there in full use, and him talking about it is really him getting the public ready to start talking about actually it.
Hold on a second. Are you talking about like Power Rangers
idea.
SPD?
You can call it Power Rangers if you want. I'll probably call it more like Star Trek.
Hey, if we're gonna talk about
Starship
Mars,
Troopers.
though, I insist I bring up a conspiracy. That is my actual favorite conspiracy.
Yes.
Say flat Earth.
Huh?
Oh, we're going flat Earth.
Not flat Earth, not flat Earth.
What is
That's
that?
a
What is it?
meme. We all know that's
Okay,
a meme.
so
That's a meme.
the reason.
it's a meme.
Okay,
That is
so I was I really fell down a rabbit hole on this one.
Oh, yeah.
So I was wondering. I was like, why do we need to go to Mars? Why can't we just colonize on the moon?
Right.
You know, why do we have to start with Mars? Until I realized that it's because we got 20 years left on Earth.
Yeah. Well,
No, just hear me out. It's not because of global warming. It's
Okay.
because there's an asteroid on our way to kill us all. And there was a French
I prefer
a French sorry, I forget the word.
Scientist?
Not scientist.
astronomer.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was looking for. Like an
You don't
astronaut.
want an
but not
astrologist
quite.
up there. You don't want to do
Yeah.
that.
Anyway, so this French astronaut, she found out about it, and she actually in a video talked to the public, saying that NASA has to warn people. Didn't say explicitly was.
Yeah.
And then within a year of her saying that the people have to be warned, she committed suicide. Within a couple months of her,
quotation marks.
within a couple months.
Doing air quotes for that.
Within a couple months of her committing suicide, this is like I'll put links in this. This
That's
is
scary shit,
yeah.
Josh.
Within a couple months of her committing suicide, her lab was burnt down in a freak accident.
Kind of like just recently, there was Faith Church or some like John of whoever his name is, the guy who was just found out running like a sex slave like farm.
Yeah.
Who was endorsed by Oprah Winfrey. The lady who exposed that was just recently, hanged herself. Pardon me, and she left a note, and but it's like
all the people the Clintons killed.
Exactly. I was bringing that up. It was
exactly.
Clinton, how...
Wait, I'm not done.
Yeah, sorry. Continue.
Okay.
I derailed it.
Conspiracy that's claiming that we're going to die in 20 years.
Okay.
I'm a little freaked
yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one.
Okay, and then so
I
after.
need to see evidence.
Just had a heart attack at
Yeah,
32.
no, honestly.
Great
This is scaring the
condition.
fuck out of
Yeah.
me, Josh.
And then so after she commits suicide, her lab burns down. All these big tech companies, every single big tech company releases their plans to colonize Mars. Because that, and then so the reason they can't colonize the moon is because when the Earth gets hit, what's going to happen is the moon's going to be screwed up too. The only planet that's going to be fine is Mars, and it goes deeper than that.
And
because
Venus is too
there's-
spicy hot.
NASA also, or not NASA, but a different space agency discovered a weird anomaly. There was apparently another planet in our
Planet X.
Planet X,
Yeah,
but they disavowed
Nibiru.
that. It's because it's not a planet; it's a massive asteroid,
yeah.
and it's making a loop.
A piece of planet that used to exist in our solar system, which is why the asteroid belt exists in the first place.
It's gonna loop back and it's gonna hit us. And the reason they won't release it is because if they tell us all that we're all dead in 20 years, it turns to chaos, and they need us to keep working because they have to keep working on these rockets to send them to Mars.
So
I don't
my
buy
question to
this at
you,
all.
is: does someone telling you that an asteroid is gonna hit the Earth in 20 years, does that make you nervous at all? Does that make you a little afraid?
No.
I mean, I have no choice but to accept it.
I mean, I'm not saying accepting it. I'm saying
Here's
like,
the key question here, though. Do you believe it?
Okay.
You're not acting like you believe it.
Okay. Obviously, I have to be skeptical of it because it's a lot of information that isn't completely woven together perfectly.
There you go, yeah.
But at the same time, why did this astronaut kill herself? Quotation marks. Why was her lab burned down?
That's just it. Quotation marks. Did she kill herself?
This
or she murdered?
goes with a lot of conspiracies. I mean, like, if we assume that this is true, would you not be basing your life around the assumption that you've only got 20 years left?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't.
I'm just a little. I'm curious.
No, here's a good example. Sorry, if you don't mind.
Yes.
2012. So many people like, the world's gonna fucking end. I'm gonna take out all this stuff. I'm gonna go to this place. My whole life is revolved around now that my life is ending.
Well, that's the
2012.
Mayans.
No,
that's what I'm saying.
The point is, though, some people put in a whole lot of shit, right? And it ended up not working the way they thought it would.
Funny as hell.
Which is why they all got screwed. It's like, don't live your life as if it's all going to culminate in a certain amount of time.
This is my last bit of reinforcement to my argument. Is that
you believe it, though? That's my
sort of because of this last little bit. Because other space agencies have actually observed this object. Some say it's a little planet. Some people say it's an asteroid. NASA came out saying that there's an asteroid that's very close to hitting Earth, but isn't going to hit Earth.
There's hundreds of those every single day.
No, but this is a really big one, and they're saying it's going to narrowly.
Oumuamua?
I don't know. They're saying it's going to barely miss Earth. But people are saying, no, that's the exact same big rock that is supposed to hit Earth, that other places said is going to hit Earth.
I think there's one, like a massive, like that could end Earth. I think it's happening in...
the next 20 years?
No, not the next... it's happening in 2021, I think.
20 years anyways, dude.
I think 2021.
Hereditary heart issues, dude. I'm gonna fucking die.
I think there's a massive asteroid that if it hits Earth, could literally end the Earth in 2021 or might even be 2022.
It's not good odds.
But it could end the Earth from hitting it, but it's not. It's like the predicted course is not going to hit it.
But the other thing I'm going to say is,
chill. You got this.
Like we're even if a big asteroid hits Earth, I'm very skeptical that the human race will die off.
Yeah.
I mean, like look at the Black Plague. Humans have proved to be very resilient, and if it's inevitable that we'll be hit with another catastrophic event that will kill off most people. It happens every couple centuries, and I think our time's up.
Not every couple centuries.
Well,
it happens often.
You guys have
I think our time's up for never.
You guys heard the
extinction events or just plagues?
I'm talking about catastrophic events.
None of these have happened where humanity's been so advanced.
I know.
Like I think we're like,
Hancock.
and I know that you could argue that for every civilization, but I think we're at a point where we're exponentially expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Like you know what I mean? I do wonder how an event like that would play out today.
I mean,
here.
It's kind of brief.
Yeah, I like this is just obviously this is a conspiracy, and if I base my life completely around a doomsday clock, let's keep in mind no doomsday clock has ever been accurate.
Exactly.
I would be miserable. So I think let's hope for the best
and expect
and
the worst.
prepare for the worst.
Yeah, it's
you
interesting.
You just treat it like any other conspiracy. You don't think you accept that it might. You accept that it might be true, maybe even probably be true, but you don't want to.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand.
There's a conspiracy that there's a new world order and they're trying to cut the population down, and that it's probably true. There's probably elites want to cut the population down, but I'm not about to stock up my shed and get a shot.
Well,
you're not gonna be a doomsday prepper.
Something like that's a little different than world theory.
I'm not even saying that this is going to end the world. I'm saying that we're going to get hit by an asteroid and people are going to be on Mars and being like, fuck you guys, we're on Mars.
To be clear, I'm just trying to make you, I'm not saying that I'm on those ideas. I just want to...
Yeah.
The devil's advocate.
Sure, yeah.
Have you guys heard of the Great Filter? It's not really a theory. It's
filter.
The Great Filter. It can be called a theory, I guess. The Great Filter theory.
Sure.
So generally, what it summarizes as, because there's no massive galactic civilization above us that has dominated the entire universe that we know of, in all of span of human history, considering the pace at which we've achieved the technological advancement that we have, if we go based on that rate, if we assume that a species went for 1 million years at the same rate we're going at, that there should be a what's it called? Great what's it called? Massive giant galactic civilization that rules over us all and rules over the entire universe.
Well,
then
You forget how big the universe is.
Wait. Here,
There's more. I think there's more there's more suns than there's grains of sand.
Oh fuck yeah!
How could the galactic government find us?
Here's the thing.
No. Wait. I get where he's coming from. What if?
That's not even what I'm gonna
No,
end with.
I understand what you're.
Because the great filter is if in all biological life there is a certain filter that all life is held behind, and very, very few, if any, get past. Now, depending on where that filter is, we either pass the filter miraculously, or we're absolutely screwed.
Now I'm a little lost.
I'm completely lost, man.
Because here's what
I understand.
Here's the filter. The filter could be anything, but we don't know what it is. Wait. I'll explain. So you know how creating life from no life at all, for if we're going off based off of evolution,
Which is
where
impossible.
It's like
Life comes from more life. What came first, chicken or the egg?
So, no, what I'm saying is, if we assume that life came from nothing, like a whole bunch of chemicals in the water, and then that's like, for example, lightning struck it, and it somehow formed into a cell that replicated over time.
Life.
And then
Yeah, that's more believable than God, eh?
No, that's like, for example, if that's so incredibly unlikely to happen, then that's our great filter of the entire universe, and life doesn't progress past that point. If the great filter is later in life, for example, inventing fire or having cognizant minds, like our prefrontal cortex and all that in our mind, if that's a great filter, then we've somehow passed it, and we're one of the first species to pass it. And then that continues going on, like, first to create rockets, first to not destroy ourselves in nuclear war, and that could be one of the future filters that we haven't passed yet.
I see what you're saying.
And maybe the filter is eventually civilizations destroy themselves. Maybe it's something else past this point, like rocketry outside of our universe is the great filter, and eventually we use up all the resources in our universe.
Okay. Assuming you believe in a finite universe.
In our galaxy before we're able to escape it.
Here's what I don't understand about it, though. You seem like you're presenting the idea of human limitations and human milestones, so to speak. But I'm not understanding the actual concept of this physical or whatever you want to call it. I'm not understanding the filter.
The filter is.
It's just
no civilization is civilization is not able to progress beyond this point. For example, if the great filter was fire, for example, if there's 100,000 civilizations and we're the only one that invented fire, then fire is the great filter. And
in that scenario,
and because the only way we're able to progress further is using fire.
I feel like you're categorizing something that doesn't really need to be like.
It still seems like an idea, though. It doesn't seem like a theory or something that. Well, it seems like you're just. It seems
hypothesis.
It seems like you're just giving this thing of here's a good way of explaining human limitations and how certain milestones have expanded what we can do.
No, it's not. That's not even. I'm saying why there isn't other alien life.
Here's another thing. Okay, so here's something that might be. I don't know if it fully has to do with it, but like. This is a big question. If there is alien life, then where are they, right?
Yeah, that's the question.
You know what? I kind of get where you're coming from now.
I think the first problem... No, it's all good. I think the problem with that is like, for example, let's take an ant, right? How, like, would an ant know if we passed it, if our shadow went past it? It's like, okay, so let's say it's smart enough to perceive a shadow. It just perceived the shadow and that's it. It didn't see us. It just saw the aftermath of us, right? If it can see that. So I think the first thing is, why are we assuming we're going to be able to perceive these things at all?
For example, the aliens perceive us as a type of ants that are not even worth paying attention to.
Or
they see our type of species all over the place.
Yes. Or I think perhaps they're smarter than us in that sense, where it's like, oh, it's just an ant. We need to worry about that. It's more like, hey, it's another piece of the ecosystem. If all these ants were taken out of the picture, something else would fall. So when I get the question of like, why would aliens ever come in here of all places for us, of all people? It's like, we're assuming that we're separate from them in some way. If the universe is infinite and connected through energy, which is, I feel myself is fairly an axiom, common knowledge.
Explain that, how the universe is all connected through energy.
Well, everything... Okay, so we take physical things and non-physical things, and energy, for example, right? Well, all the physical things are made of the non-physical things, right? Because they're all made of particles that all have a string inside of them, an energetic string, which is energy, which decides what the particle is going to be, right? That's also the principle behind the God particle, if I'm not mistaken. The God particle is, as far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, is the state just before the particle has chosen, or not chosen, but it gets sorted out into what particle it's going to be.
Like if it's going to be an electron or a neutron.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah, that's
it's not more of a theory.
But it's not the point if it's a theory or not. The point
God
is,
particle. This was by my knowledge. Is if you keep cutting atoms and you keep cutting electrons and you keep cutting subatomic particles, it's the smallest, most indivisible thing you can't cut anymore.
But
it works as the building block for everything.
But at its core is still energy. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you can
matter and
energy
energy is convertible.
Well, there we go.
Yeah.
So my point is that there is an energy in all things, in you, in this computer, and this non-energetic thing. There's still energy that's holding it together, right? So we're all made of energy. It's all connected. So if you have a being or a civilization who is super advanced, we're not just talking technology-wise. We have to include everything. We have to include consciousness-wise. We have to include, how their political systems have evolved way more than ours. So if we're going at that point, we realize that if a consciousness is so far evolved, then they can probably feel a whole bunch of shit happening. The higher you get in your evolution, the more you can feel. So let's take our body as like a galaxy, for example.
Okay.
And the center of the galaxy is the brain.
Okay.
And I stub my toe. Well, the brain senses that this part of the galaxy is in need. Humanity crying out for pain, for example, of all the wars and shit like that. And they're like, well, we can't just let our stubbed toe keep being hurt and stubbed, or let's say my hand is on like a stove. We can't let this keep happening. Let's help them. And so it's not really like we're doing it for them, we're doing it for us. It's like, this is a natural flow. It must happen.
So are you sort of saying that we aren't in that state where we need help for them to intervene?
No, I'm saying we are in that state, and that's the process. And the reason why it doesn't, we won't see these things take place physically and stuff like that is because we're going off of human time. We're going off of what we see through, and we only live about 100 years, right? So that's all we got for each individual person until the next one experiences it. Whereas for these people, they might have different planetary time systems. Perhaps one day for them is 1,000 days for us.
Actually, there's an interesting example for that on our planet, actually. Flies, I think it's fruit flies that are the best at this.
They don't live too long.
They don't live too long, but they experience time at 1/8 of what we do.
But
because their minds work at 8 times the pace.
Interesting. And that's not even including the astronomical.
That's why when you go to hit a fly on the table,
it's like,
it's
boom!
able to dodge out of the way.
It's the whole idea of time being relative, right?
Yeah, well, that's so
We'll
true.
take into
I'm joking.
bigger concept. Some heavy shit.
I wanted to say this,
Yeah.
because you guys were saying, oh, aliens just wouldn't notice us, we're just ants. We are developing so quickly. I think if aliens were here, they would definitely take a lot of notice.
Oh yeah.
We are completely different than anything.
And
are we?
Well, here's the thing.
That's all we know.
No,
what if we aren't?
We
What
are
if
the
there are
only thing in existence
I don't know.
by
That you
our
know.
knowledge
by our
that
knowledge?
records information.
By our knowledge?
The record of information
What if we're
is
nothing?
something that aliens would take severe notice in. That shows intellect. That shows improvement. That shows you're forcing evolution. We are evolving we're not letting evolution evolve us anymore. We are taking control.
yeah.
But
That
what if-
aliens
what
would
if-
see that, and that's how aliens
That's a fun
filter.
fact.
All right, fun fact, Lee.
I just want to say that ants make up 20 to 40% of the biosphere on the entire planet.
That makes sense.
Yo,
that
ants
makes
are
a lot of
fucking
sense.
cool.
Ants are fucking cool. dude.
Yo, they're
sick.
Wait,
Oh.
do you actually believe in like lizard people, or is this just a
I
conspiracy?
believe in ETs, and I believe the species ratio of ETs is going to be as diverse as any ecosystem, whether it be on a planet or in space.
So space
So-
lizards.
But do you think they're lizards?
I mean, I
they
think they
resemble
have.
lizards?
Do they resemble reptiles?
I'm gonna say if you can. Okay, so as the common description I get a lot of is 9 to 15 feet tall, bipedal, humanoid in nature because the one head, 2 arms, and 2 legs thing is apparently not too uncommon in the universe. It's kind of like, hey, this works. Let's use this. But yeah, they're like lizard-like. They have a tier system where it's like depending on the size and color of scale, you're like a different part of the hierarchy or whatever. There's a lot of different species of the same thing. Like some apparently have wings, some do not. Some have tails, some do not.
Is it like a large majority of all of the alien species that you or talk about are out there have scales and are lizard type people?
I'm saying that there's a race that will have that.
Oh, it's
There's
just
also-
one race.
Well, okay. So the same.
that type possibility.
Well, it's like you know I don't like saying like you know how there's different races of people, right? Of human beings. I don't really like that thing, but there is, right? Same sort of thing with these. It's like, oh, like the ones from Zeta Reticula, let's say, have more of a greenish complexion, whereas the ones from like the Orion constellation might have more of a bronze a scale tone, and depending on where you're from, your civilization will be slightly different. So maybe one race is like, fuck humans, the other race is like, I mean, they're cattle. We can use them for experiments, but I don't hate them. And some are like, you guys are oppressing the humans. Let's help them. And it's just like any other civilizations.
I thought you were saying that a whole bunch of the alien and a large majority of the alien civilizations that you talk about are
the thing
scaled and like things like that.
The thing that I have a problem with a lot of conspiracy theorists and Alex Jones and stuff like that is
alien vampires.
well, it's like there's
Dimensional space vampires.
yeah. It's like, or another thing is like all aliens look like greys, you know, like big heads, long arms, kind of like the information that I have is more like a lot of these species will use biological machines like greys to do just random shit, and so you'll see them a lot more often because they're just machines. Whereas the beings themselves, maybe they don't want to be seen by you. Because, okay, so let's say we have one being that's super advanced and it can feel with its consciousness the universe around it. And it meets a human who has never seen this thing before. Then the human starts freaking out because, what the fuck, you exist? Like, you're real? And starts going crazy. That's going to cause pain for the entity because it's feeling what you're feeling as well. And so, therefore, it doesn't want to be seen by you. So you can do its work without the interruption. Or without, like, the reason why you sedate a patient before surgery is so, A, they don't feel anything, and B, they're not going to start fucking flailing around. Right?
Yeah, I just brought up the image of the Thin Man from XCOM.
From
And
what?
That's XCOM. It's just
I love XCOM, dude.
yeah, he knows what XCOM is.
Never.
Anyway,
It's like a
strategy game.
Turn-based.
Turn-based strategy.
You know, Fire Emblem?
Yeah.
It's very similar to Fire Emblem.
Yeah.
Is it like more futuristic though?
Yeah.
All right.
But no, it's like the default
Higher
looking
graphics, just do
alien,
that too.
Yeah.
what you expect, like the alien in human clothes
Oh,
sort
yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Maybe to close this off, or this topic at least, I'll just put out the information that like So we've seen reptile-type beings in movies before, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So what you're going to find when you start going down the rabbit hole is that a lot of the same things you've seen in movies are going to start occurring in you're going to start finding the information. And when you come at it from that stance, you're going to be like, oh, well, these people are just making up a story based on the movie.
Okay.
Or the movie is getting their story based on the actual event. Mm-hmm. So what you can look up and verify is that Sony is absolutely being funded by the White House.
Got it.
So maybe this is just my opinion, but I don't feel like the White House should have a whole lot of say in what Sony does or funding them. Unless you want them to be talking about or presenting certain things. And I'm not saying, do the movie just like this. I'm just saying, hey, we want to get more AI concepts out to people. So let's push stuff like Transformers. Let's push stuff like Alien. And you guys do it how you guys want to do it, but we want the public to know this for a reason.
Is it going to like desensitize us? That's what's like
desensitize, but the common thing that comes up a lot is collective consciousness. Because if we're all connected through a web of energy, right? Then where we go, funny we talk about QAnon, where we go one, we go all. If we all decide that it's acceptable for ETs to come down here, they're going to come down here. Yeah. But the problem is not all of us have got to that point yet. There's still a lot of people saying that can't happen. And so because they're consciously knowing that, they, who must abide by your free will, even the bad guys, believe it or not, that's why I have to trick you into doing your own shit. Once they get the general okay from all the people, then we get the ships coming down. The landings is, that's in the sky. Mm-hmm. Right now, there's still shit up there, very close to us. Apparently, so I've heard, there's a fleet above the Earth right now, but you'd never see it. Whoa. Until we're all ready to see it. Until once all this shit that's been kept secret is now out.
So you're saying we're going to be like, you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm probably wrong on how I interpreted that, but you're saying that this shit will be revealed to us more and more as we get more and more desensitized?
Not desensitized, but as...
more accepting towards it.
More, yeah. It's like, I'll put it this way, so I introduced
you... freak out.
Yeah. So, it's like, well, it's not just for them, but the reason why we don't know about this is because all this nefarious shit has been happening to separate us from it. And so when we get the whole truth, we're going to get, all the fucking horrible stuff the deep state has been responsible for. B, our real history, which is infinitely insane. If you want to look up into that, look up Graham Hancock. He'll talk to you about how there was a lot of evidence suggesting that there was a super advanced civilization before us, which would only fit if there was ETs. But once we get to that point and where we've gotten past all this shit, the last of it is, all right, are you guys ready to accept that you're part of an infinite universe that's teeming with life? And that's when we get ships that land and people that start talking to us.
Here's something I have to ask.
Please.
You keep mentioning QAnon.
Yeah.
That's something you've repeatedly mentioned.
Look it up, people. Look it up.
No, the thing is, I meant to ask you this earlier.
Yeah.
Can you describe what that is, just like a baseline understanding?
Yeah.
I have no clue myself.
So the reason why there was such a huge thing behind Trump was, I think it was October of 2016 when he was being elected. As he was going through the process and it was the race, suddenly there was these drops that were going out on the internet that were predicting things. And it wouldn't have been anything at all. It would have faded into nothing if it had been nothing. But people started paying more attention because the things that QAnon, this user that posts wherever it wants to post, was presenting, you could trace it, you could verify it. And they were talking about this very stuff. Like there was a deep state, we need to get out of this thing. There is hope. We're working toward it. There's a lot fighting against you, but we're winning. These sort of messages kept on popping up. And it's gotten to the point now where QAnon is dropping leaks, like more leaks, or getting more leaks from the original WikiLeaks file or files or whatnot. they're presenting information that us, the regular people, don't have. And they're saying, hey, if we all do this, if we all collectively see that there is some shit going wrong, then we can all take the power back and start fighting against them.
The main question is, though, is that, maybe I'm cutting you a little short, has any of this come true? Have they been right? Have they predicted stuff?
Yes. Now here's what Yes. And here's what I will encourage everyone at home to do as well. Look into QAnon, at least just to...
Is there any links or anything?
Oh, fuck yeah. Just go on Google, type up in QAnon posts.
Maybe send me specific ones.
I have one right over here.
Sources.
I don't know exactly.
This is here. So all QAnon will post this shit, right? He'll just give you these little things, and sometimes they're in code and sometimes they're not. But he gives you a key to these codes, so you can figure them out. And he's extremely clear that he wants everyone who views this to do their own research, follow the links he posts, see what's true and what's not. And this just keeps going. There's tons and tons and tons.
This guy's just from Australia, so he knows the future.
Yeah. But
here's the same joke twice.
But here's the thing: like, I'm not saying that this is 100% factual, that you should follow this with all of your heart. I have enough data on my end to believe it on my end and to go forward with it on my end, which is why I make YouTube videos right now explaining what QAnon is walking through.
It sounds like a whistleblower to me.
It is a whistleblower, 100%. But they're giving you the power.
Is he taking things off of WikiLeaks and then?
No. He's giving you information that they shouldn't have.
So he's doing his like own independent sort of stuff.
It sounds like someone who's in the deep state. That's kind of just like dumb bullshit.
And that's a lot of that. There's a lot of that.
The Rebel. The Rebel Alliance.
Does it talk about the deep state?
Oh yeah, it does the whole thing.
So you're saying there's a whistleblower that has been predicting things that are going to happen? That talks about the deep state.
Yeah, talks about the deep state, talks about all that, and says, hey guys, we need to realize this is legit. We need to get past this or we're going to die.
Has he ever been wrong once?
I mean, there has been some wrong ones, right? But if we're going to talk about
the point, though.
Here's
devil's advocate, but also it's a matter of mathematical, I guess, possibility.
Assuming that the deep state is a thing, what if they're trying to, like, they know of this guy,
which
obviously.
Is yep.
So what if they're trying to seek him out by a good example of this is you take half the population.
Okay.
Half that population you give one answer, and half the population you give another answer.
Yeah, which happens.
And if you and then you can decide which side of the population that and that gets leaked, which side of the population and you
today and that answer. You can't really do that because information gets shared so rapidly.
Well,
here's the thing, though, is that if we're believing in all-powerful... I keep cutting you.
Yeah,
if we keep believing this all-powerful deep state...
It's not all-powerful, by the way.
I know.
It's dying hard.
No, I that's what... And for the record, my own personal deep state theory is that as well. I don't think it's as powerful as...
No, fuck no.
Anyways.
Anyway.
I'm a little naive to the QAnon thing, but... I guess another devil's advocate is if there was a crazy deep state, and if this whistleblower was accurate, which he clearly, clearly is, because I don't know, I haven't read, so I'm doing the quotation mark.
Sure.
Why hasn't all of this info been nuked? I mean, this site,
well, it has been.
You're not going to tell me that this site is some fancy smancy thing that couldn't be DDoSed by anything.
Here's the thing, and the deep state has...
Or broken in by this all-powerful.
Well, yeah,
I think the problem is you can't censor people, or they will, freak the fuck out.
Well, here's
the second you start taking this off the
internet, people oh, it's real.
It's real.
Yeah, okay.
Well,
it's the same reason why they don't take down WikiLeaks.
Yeah. Another thing is, WikiLeaks is a good one.
I'm just bringing up a point.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I'm glad you brought it up.
I'm not saying that. I get where you guys are coming from.
Yeah, these... Oh, I just had a point. Well, anyway, you see this picture here. It'll do stuff like this. So it tracks these people... So on the one side of the story, if this is all fake, then don't worry about it. World War III might be coming. Watch out for that. If all this stuff is real, World War III is already here, and the bullets and bombs and shit are just the last part. The real war gets fought first here, with symbolism, with code, with spy shit. And so, for example, Cold War, exactly. So, for example, there was this last October was coined Red October because QAnon started to do more of a offending role and said, "Hey, we're going to start declassifying some shit on this time in October." And so the deep state's like, "Oh shit. They're gonna release some shit. So we need to think of a way to get people to not look at this." What happened during that time was the George Bush funeral, which is interesting because at that funeral, which all these deep state members were at, Hillary Clinton got a little note, and she opens it up, and suddenly her heart sinks. You can see it in the video. She's like, "Oh, fuck!" Across the room, George Bush has 3 envelopes, and he gives one to his son, one to his wife, and then he has his. He doesn't open his because he already knows what he's been a part of. But the mom or the wife opens up hers. She's like, "Oh fuck! It's an indictment." And then Jeb Bush, he's all smiley. He's like, "Yeah, we're getting away with it." And his mom was like, no. Look at the, I think it was just like a song book, but there was an indictment inside the song book. And he opens it up, he's like, oh, fuck, they've got us. And the reason why that was so important was because they were getting all this shit ready for a drop, which never happened. We just wanted to see the looks on their faces when they see that we have something on them. And you can look up that video on YouTube. And it will give you the shortened form where you see in multiple frames all this stuff and everyone giving their opinion on why it's a thing. And you can believe it or not, that's up to you. But the point is that they will actively set up traps for the deep state. This is an example here. So they have a picture of like a room. And to everyone else, that shouldn't mean a whole lot. The deep state, that room means something. And that's not so much for us. Not so much for us here.
The kids, dude. Look at that.
There you go. Yeah, to keep the kids.
For everyone in the audience that can't see this, it's just a image off of a smartphone, from what it looks like, and it's like a green chair, and then in the background. And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but if you look at this this smiling figure over here, that's actually the Amazon smile.
Oh, look at that! Good eye, my friend. Good eye. It's all connected, right? Anyway, so the point is,
yeah, I did too.
It's not going to last forever, and that's Scorsese's.
I think that's where we're going to draw it to a close.
Probably.
I think that's a good way to end it off. So,
I hope everyone enjoyed this conspiracy episode. I think that little break we had, we're actually going to upload that as a second sort of like bloopers. We're going to upload some of it. Some stuff we're going to take away because some people don't like some of that information shared.
Can't be saying too much.
Yeah, like the deep state.
Spoilers.
So that's going to be end of the episode. I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. You guys want to say goodbye? You want to say bye?
Smell you later.
Smell you later, losers.
You want to say bye, Josh?
Until next time.
Wesley, I'll plug your shit.
Actually, you want to plug your stuff just one last time?
Sure, I'll plug one more time. Can I get these plugs out of here? Alright, if you want to look up W.C. Hotchkiss on Wattpad, you can read my novel Arceus Athenium. If you want to check out my shit on YouTube, look up Man of Toast on YouTube.
And
I'll put it in the description too.
Woo!
And with that, I think that's a wrap.
Anything you want to say goodbye?
No, I think this was just a really good episode.
Okay.
See you guys next time.
Bye, Dan. Dish.